could do 4 games a week. Then you could do if you wanted to.
Do you think you could keep up the presenter vibe for all of them?
Yeah, but we also.
If I was allowed to win some.
It only works at the moment because you're here on Tuesdays and Thursdays when your new job starts.
Yeah,
we don't have a producer.
Yeah, in April that's going to be much less.
Yeah. So then we don't have a producer, so we can't do 4 games in a day.
True.
In a day and a week.
In a day, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. We've done 3 in a day.
Oh yeah, because when Adrian came, you did or something.
Yeah.
You could have your own RTT.
We could. Yeah. Get joined first. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining us on this fine Thursday afternoon. It's beautiful down here at the moment. It was a solid 18 degrees when I came over earlier.
Well, it's quite sunny.
When you guys are playing.
So nice.
It's really, really nice, yeah. So because it's such a nice day outside, we've decided to sit indoors all afternoon and do some streaming. Good.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel. We have had quite a few shows lately that have focused on data sheets and competitiveness and the tournament and all that kind of stuff. The RTT that Tom did, Beachhead, the Balance Data Slate, the new Grotmas attachments. And it's been good content. I think it's actually been really interesting, good fun content. But I also wanted to throw something out there for the narrative bunnies as well. So yesterday, we did a little bit of chatting on the Warhammer show about why your favourite faction is your favourite faction, which one it is. Do you know what your favourite faction is, Jay?
Chaos. Like Chaos Space Marines, I think.
The whole
Chaos
of
Space
Chaos
Marines.
or just CSM?
I think CSM is probably.
If you had to pick an actual individual faction,
Black
would
Legion?
it be CSM?
Yeah, Black Legion.
Why?
Yeah.
Narrative based or first time you ever collected, or is there like a specific reason?
I just like the narrative Black Legion. I like Abaddon. I think it's cool. I like that it's a collective of all of the legions as well. Like they're a lot more open in the sense of like how they think, how they feel, how they're represented. Because like World Eaters, Death Guard, Thousand Suns, Emperor's Children, they're all very linear in how they're kind of written. You know, like Death Guard's like, oh, we like sickness, you know.
Down with the sickness.
Yeah, down with sickness. Like Thousand Suns, like, oh, we're just going to talk a lot and read books. And World Eaters like, oh, we're just angry, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas like, with like Black Legion, it's all of the 9 legions interacting, so it creates lots of drama and stuff. Yeah,
Drama llama.
Your favourite, almost definitely World Eaters.
100% World Eaters, yeah.
But what is there a reason? Is it narrative focus? Is it the first time you collected?
It's 100% narrative for me.
Yeah.
Because I just really like Angron and Khan and all the stuff they got up to in the Horus Heresy. And actually, I did read the new Angron book the other day. I say read, I listened to it on Audible.
Yeah, of course.
Because obviously I can't read because I play World Eaters.
how would you? It's not because it is. I always say it's reading. Read the other book.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say when I'm said I've listened to a book to someone. It's kind of weird. I've consumed a book recently about new World Eaters. It's actually pretty cool stuff going on. There's all Angron's reuniting the Legion together, essentially trying to get all the renegade bands back together. And there's also just a huge power struggle because all of the World Eaters think they should be the main warlord. But yeah, it's a pretty good book.
But if you ask Joe, Angron's just a whiny little bitch.
Yeah, but that's because Joe doesn't actually know the Angron backstory, as we found out when I talked to him on it the other day.
I don't think that will stop his opinion that he's
no, it's not going to stop his opinion, but he's based his opinion off bullshit. Which is quite common.
What is DEI?
Diversity, equality, and inclusion.
Oh, I keep seeing it everywhere, and I'm like, I don't know what it means.
Diversity, equality, inclusion. DEI.
Yeah. I'm like ducks eating insects. You know?
Could be.
They probably do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dicks entering. No, stop there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Dirigibles exploding intently.
And is your favourite faction Eldar?
My favourite faction is probably Eldar.
Yeah.
I spoke last night about the fact that I've had 2 consistents throughout basically the whole of my Warhammer time. I don't want to call it a career because it sounds a bit fucking
bit much
knobby, but
yeah.
the whole time I played Warhammer, my 2 constants pretty much have been Craftworld Eldar and World Eaters.
Yeah, nice.
Eldar is to start with Eldar wasn't about the narrative. Actually, it was about the aesthetic because I've always been an elf fan, and so they had a bit more of the high elf vibe in sci-fi and the wizards and the big robes. Like I love that kind of stuff. So I was really into back then. Was really into the jet bike vibe and the ghost warrior thing. Yeah. So big angry ghost warriors backed up by jet bikes. I was all about that. I love that. So that wasn't about the narrative for me. And then World Eaters, that came about because I kind of liked the first model I ever had was a Bloodthirster.
Oh yeah,
the old metal one,
right?
Where I used 345 tubes of Araldite to try and glue the fucking whip on because it just had this terrible little contact point, this massive metal whip that came off. And when I dived into Chaos, then my favourite character was Kharn.
Yeah,
because at the time you had Metal Araman, Metal Typhus, Metal Kharn, Metal Lucius. Kharn was my favourite, and that's when World Eaters came from. And I started doing a bit of delving into the lore about the Butcher's Nails and where Angron came from. And I was like, I'm into this. This is cool.
I find like most people when they get into 40k usually choose the Imperium faction because they're like, oh, they're the good guys. And then they're like, I think the longer you get into 40k, the more likely you are to choose a Chaos faction.
We'll talk about that in just a moment about they're the good guys. But then, because I also have this theory, and it kind of worked a little bit on Joe. If you aren't sure if you do or don't like World Eaters, just listen to or read Betrayer.
Yeah, 100%.
And then Joe listened to Betrayer and went, I want to collect World Eaters.
Well, I think I think the problem about Betrayer, it doesn't make World Eaters good, it makes Kharn better.
It does make Kharn better, yeah. And Kharn was my favourite.
World Eaters as well are really good at that.
I'm like Kharn over Angron. And Tom's like Angron over Kharn.
I'm like 50-50, honestly.
Oh, okay.
So if you've done Betrayer, that's like that's like a love story to Kharn, essentially.
Kharn's a fucking baller.
Him and whatever the Gal Warback guy is called.
Uncle T'au.
Body cop film, essentially, for the whole thing. It's awesome. And then the Angron Primarch book, if you want to learn more about Angron backstory and all that stuff, is really good.
Yeah. So there we go. Talk about Imperium being the good guys. I thought we'd continue this little trend this week before we get on the game tonight about stuff that's not quite so competitively focused or quite so like data sheet focused or dice rolling focused. And I wanted to have a conversation because I think we're probably going to come up with very different opinions, the three of us. So I thought it'd be an interesting chat to have about who the real bad guys are in 40k. Now, what I did, because we like a slightly clickbaity kind of title, is I stuck a carnifex on the old thumbnail because a lot of people, and I've used the big red words of pure evil. So a lot of people suggest that Tyranids are like the ultimate bad guy in Warhammer because they don't fucking care. They'll tear everything apart. They'll eat and consume everything. They're going to murder the galaxy, and that makes them the ultimate bad guy. But some people would then be like, well, no, that's just them doing their instinctive behaviour. It doesn't make them a bad guy.
Well, not always, because the hive mind thinks.
Yeah.
It's a thinking entity. So so during like the devastation of Baal, the Tyranids, when their hive fleet was going through, were like, we need to go and destroy Baal. It was a decision that the hive fleet made to deal with the Blood Angels.
But just to protect their own, was for the Tyranids to protect their own way of life?
But no, it was like they were saying that like basically the way in the books, basically the hive fleet's going off doing its thing, and then a massive portion of it just diverts, and they're like, it's just done out of spite, just going to deal with them. And there's like that one lictor that basically travels all the way across like the galaxy to essentially just go and destroy a power plant inside the Angel Spire, wherever it is on Baal.
Okay.
So his one job was to go and do things.
But and you don't think that's just the Tyranids going, they're a problem, we need to get rid of them?
But there's also like in some of the books, like the Swarm Lords are like in the books they always like pick a beef with like a random character in the book, and they're like, I'm just going to hunt you down and follow you like the Terminator for ages.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a fight.
So you're suggesting that Tyranids actually, because I was like, well, maybe it's a bit more instinctual and it's just animalistic behaviour, but you're suggesting they actually can be quite evil.
Yeah. They made a giant brain planet.
They took
an entire like planet and basically.
Is this the thing after the War of the Orcs?
Yeah, just before So they during the Leviathan story that they kind of just dropped on its head.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't care about this anymore. We'll just shelve that for a little while. And the Tyranids basically just found a planet and just filled it with biomass to create like a giant brain, essentially. But we don't know what's going on with it anymore.
So do you think Tyranids are the evilest thing in the Warhammer Galaxy? What do you think is the ultimate bad guys?
Demons.
Demons?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they're literally made of all the bad things that humanity does. Like, humanity's pretty crap.
So does that make demons the bad guys, though?
Surely they are a reflection.
They're like
they are
a
reflection
compounding
of humanity.
Of
It's humanity's fault.
No, because humanity has good parts.
Does it?
Like, they have good people in humanity.
Yeah, but it's hugely outweighed by the bad stuff in 40k.
Because the way I look at it, right, is that demons are the manifestation of humanity's emotions, essentially, right? And typically with the 4 gods that we focus on the most, it's negative emotions, essentially. But they're still only manifested by the emotions of humans or other races. Yeah. So actually, that doesn't necessarily make the demons bad themselves. They're just a manifestation of something else that's bad. So then, surely the ultimate bad guys at that point would then be humankind.
Yeah, but all like the big bad demons are like created before us, like during the birth of humanity.
Okay.
So like,
but isn't like the really scary one in March of Mankind is literally because someone murdered someone.
It's from the first
ever murder.
Yeah, it's like
created like the most terrifying demon of all time.
So,
which is now a sword.
I'm not really.
Was that not Dracnaean?
That is Dracnaean.
Yeah, Dracnaean's created from the first murder.
The first murder.
First murder.
Murder. It's a shame that the person who wields it now gets constantly murdered. Because a lot of people would say that chaos is like the ultimate bad guys in Warhammer 40k, and I think often that depends on which way you're leaning. Because I would suggest that chaos is in fact the truth, and that the Imperium are the bad guys.
Yeah, chaos's whole shtick is that
from my point of view, you're evil.
Abaddon's whole thing is like they're like we fought for the Imperium as it is. We created the Imperium as it is. It belongs to us. We just want it back. And that's why they're going to...
And they ignore the demons.
Yeah, they need help. Well, the thing is, though, like they say, like the whole thing that always pops in the books is that the Chaos is trying to beat the Imperium, but Horus lost with like 100,000 times more than what they currently have access to.
Yeah.
So, like, they'll never have the resources that they ever had when Horus had it, so they have to find other ways of doing it.
Do you know there's an ultimate bad guy in Warhammer? Like the biggest evil single entity?
Erebus.
Necrons.
The Emperor.
Not Necrons. What are you on about?
Necrons are pretty evil.
Necrons literally want everyone to die. They're like everyone has to die, we are the superior creations. They're just an army of Brom.
Does Brom like them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Necrons, I think, is the ultimate one.
I don't know, like, I feel like they have the exact same idea that humanity has then, what you've just said. That you want to kill everyone else that isn't them to rule the galaxy.
Yeah.
Isn't that exactly the same as mankind and pretty much every other race in the universe? You name a race that doesn't want to do that, maybe T'au.
Well, that begs the question then, that surely the bad guy is firmly dependent on who your good guy is.
Yeah.
And the good guy is quite subjective.
It's very subjective.
Yeah.
The thing is, they are a good, like, because I know that you're quite clearly edging to the Imperium is the baddie, because life in the Imperium is god-awful.
That is where I'm edging.
Unless you're a farmer. And it's quite good.
If you're on a pleasure road, it's
I actually think that it's ironic that Space Marines and the Emperor and the Imperium are I think the GW do this on purpose as well. It's kind of ironic that they're portrayed as the good guys and the heroes, but actually, ironically, they're the bad guys because it's quite a dictatorshipy, fascisty kind of entity that is ruling with military might and fear. Yeah. And if you disagree, you end up getting lobotomized and turned into a servitor.
Yeah, I mean, it is an empire built off genocide, controlled by the far-right religious extremists, and there's essentially no like tribunals or it's just if the lawman says you've done it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're gonna die or get turned into a servitor or whatever. And if you're at all weird or non-human, you just get killed.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, servitors only exist because they banned AI, artificial intelligence.
Why they
It's
ban
also
AI?
a bad idea. Well, that's because of
there was a giant
dark
war
times or whatever it's called.
Basically, like, think of like the Matrix. Basically, AI took over. And
But what's saying
so
is
you had like the men of steel. So basically, they're like, we
Terminator.
can't have thinking machines because they ultimately do turn on you. Like, look at every time, like China creates a new robot that can think for itself. Within about 20 minutes, it's like, launch all the nukes, humanity's bad, and it becomes the ultimate racist, you know? And they're like, we can't have AI, because it's bad. So our robots are basically just going to be brains, human brains that basically essentially can live forever as long as we just keep feeding them. And then just give them menial tasks to do.
But is this not is this not symbolic of humanity's constant tilt towards evil and nasty? We can't have AI because of the direction it goes in. Like, I feel like it's done on purpose. I feel like the authors do it on purpose, where this kind of, depending on your outlook on life and depending on where you're looking at, the Imperium is both the good guy and the bad guy at the same time, which means that you can also suggest that Chaos, for example, who is essentially supposed to be the opposite to the Imperium, are also the good guys and the bad guys at the same time. Because you could argue that the Legions of Chaos and Horus, after he fell to Chaos, simply were, well, we're just spreading the actual truth. We're telling you about these chaos gods that the emperors didn't want anyone to know about, but they are a thing. And if you worship them, they can give you boons or rewards. On the flip side, at the same time, how does chaos go about spreading that message? They go torturing and murdering and fucking destroying everything in their path.
I do think that chaos gods are the evil in the galaxy for the setting.
You reckon?
Yeah. It's just, like, I know that technically Khorne is like also about like honor and strength and duty and loyalty, but that never seems to come up in when things are going on. It's more just murder everyone in any way you can.
Realistically, the only one that you need to go for is Slanesh, right? Because there's a chance that you'll come out of it actually good looking.
No, there isn't.
He's changed now. Emperor's children are out. He's gone full swear.
I would
the sword people, whatever they're called, with the funny faces.
And but they went too because the Emperor's Children's whole shtick is like they're chasing perfection, and they'll never have the irony of it is like they were perfect. They were perfect before, and then they tinkered too much, and now they're trying to be too like even more. Whereas like if you just go for Slanesh in general, right? If you look at like Sigvald, he's like beautiful. Perfect all over, right? There is a chance.
He's also a horrible person.
Yeah, but jacked. Yeah.
Fair enough then.
all the trim he wants. You know, he's living the best life, right?
So you'd happily be an awful person to be jacked.
Isn't that like most of them?
Like former boss.
Yeah. You could be nice, you know, like you could because you could be super jacked and live on a giant pleasure boat.
I feel like you're going off topic with that one.
Just ride around in the Solent, you know.
I feel like if you're going for Slanesh, you're not going to be a happy person, or maybe not. You won't be happy, but you're not going to be a nice person.
You'll be a lot happier than having chopped off your legs and arms and replacing them with chainsaws.
Isn't the happy?
I don't know.
Yeah. Depends on your profession.
Yeah, it depends on what you want to do.
Lumberjack.
If you're a lumberjack, Joe, you're living a fucking pretty good life right then, aren't you?
Yeah.
Beyblade, you know.
Isn't the happiest people under their respective deity supposed to be those that worship Nurgle?
Yes. Yeah.
They're supposed to be the happiest, aren't they?
They basically live in a dream world where like everything, all the bad stuff, they can't really see it.
Yeah. It's interesting that they're cheerful and happy and spreading and what they're trying to do. So you could almost argue that they're very, very good because they're happy,
they're spreading their happiness,
and they're just trying to spread their happiness in their minds. That makes them good people, surely.
Perspective is definitely important in that.
Well, the thing, the idea of it's death and decay, but the idea is that it's also life as well because it's like Nurgle's garden. They're always just creating and growing. Like death is bad, but the idea is that it's a constant life cycle. So stuff that dies just become part of the new.
Yeah, okay.
That's why Nurgle doesn't really like Khorne.
Do you think there's an actual good guy, Joe?
No, he hates Tzeentch because Tzeentch is like change everything all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas Slanesh and Khorne hate each other because Slanesh is like, diddle everyone and torture everyone. When Khorne's just like, why don't you just kill them?
Everyone's on the end of the diddle stick.
Yeah. Joe, see, you don't want to be the end of the diddle stick all the time, do you?
Yeah, but if you get to high up in the Slanesh, then you're in control of the diddle stick.
Okay.
Joe wants to be the diddler.
He does.
Not the diddly.
Yeah.
That's a t-shirt. Diddler, not diddly.
Yeah, that was a good one. Just put like a pokey stick on it.
Yeah.
Just don't wear it outside your kids' school.
No. I put my phone in there. It's slowly dragging my shirt down. The ultimate good guys.
Do you think there is, in fact, a good guy in Warhammer 40k?
It depends. It's all perspective, though, isn't it? Because orcs probably think they're great.
Do you think orcs are good?
No.
Why not?
Because they kill everyone.
I think
in their heads, their moral compass has no issue with what they're doing. But then from the Imperium perspective, or pretty much anyone else's perspective, they're horrendous people that just kill everyone.
I mean, this goes into real deep, like...
This is full philosophy now.
This is real deep philosophy, isn't it?
Because, like, our perspective on good and evil is, for the most part, all based on, like, how, like, Christians founded Western society, which is obviously very different when you then go at 40k and, like, that doesn't even exist in that. So, like, the Imperium very loosely has similar moral foundations on us-ish, I guess. But then all the other races have nothing compared to it.
Yeah.
The T'au, the ultimate good guys.
I don't know.
Because they want... Because, like, they're preferred... They have a standing army, but they don't like to use it.
I feel like they do.
Like, they have a standing army, but it's more of a threat. Because they go to most people, they're like, join us, right? And we won't kill you.
Maybe.
That doesn't make him a good guy, right? Joe.
But they still like, we have to think about context in the universe that is.
I think the Germans tried that, mate.
Yeah, but you got to think, right? Like, no one's going to... Because if anyone in the universe is super nice, super good, happy-go-lucky, they'll just die because everyone will take advantage of them. So in the context of the universe, the nicest you're probably going to get is the T'au. Because they go...
We give you a chance first.
We give you a chance to live. If you join us, like, properly, we'll let you carry on existing. Or if we don't really agree with you, we'll sterilise everyone on the planet. But...
So that's fine.
But you get to live out your lives, you know? We won't kill you.
Farsight is probably not a terrible person, to be fair. Yeah. I really want him to fall to corn.
The T'au aren't... I don't think they're even quite that extreme, though, are they? Because they trade with other races, and they can live peacefully on planets.
They would prefer to have, like, planets that they can trade from and gather resources to work on their greater empire.
It causes me, like, genuine pain to say this, but Eldar are probably the closest you can get to a good guy,
despite the fact that they created Slash.
Yeah, that's Drukhari though.
I know
Eldar.
Eldar
but all the Eldar craft worlds are the ones that said, "I'm not going to diddle everyone anymore. I'm going to live on my big
we can see
boats.
This coming. We're going to break away."
Yeah.
No, the craft worlds were just escape ships. They knew it was happening.
yeah, but they were the ones that didn't want to like keep up all the bad stuff. So they were like, "We're going to get on this big old boat and leave." And then essentially the Drukhari kept on going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it pains me to say it, but they might be the closest thing to good guys. They are not actual good guys.
Space hermits.
Yeah, they're not. They're not good guys because now their sole sort of existence essentially is to just maintain their existence.
I mean, they're still super racist.
And they're just there to try and avoid any level of extinction.
Yeah.
And they don't give a fuck who they crush to keep their extinction, which essentially makes them bad guys in themselves, right? Because the Farseers can look at those strands and go, if this set of species is allowed to exist, it's going to cause us real problems in the future. So we'll just eradicate it.
Yeah. I like the ones that just were like, fuck it, let's go ride dinosaurs.
Yeah, go on then.
They're the good guys.
There is a chance of being an actual just gardener in Eldar as well, because they have like
you can
have
be
like
a normal person.
They have a little planet, and then they just plant trees on it, leave it for a couple 100 years, and then just move in afterwards.
Why do they wait 200 years?
The planet to grow.
Oh, they like terraforming the planet?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Because you just said plant a couple of trees.
Yeah.
And then come back in a bit.
Nature,
see what happens.
Its course, see what happens, yeah.
I love lore with Joe.
Yeah,
it's so simplified.
Because and they had loads of them, and then Fulgrim just destroyed hundreds of their planets.
I'd like to do some new shorts in the future for the channel, right? What I'd love to do is every single time you listen to any kind of novel from Warhammer, right? We'll get you in the studio, and I'll just get you to 60 seconds. What's the book? Because I reckon you could shorten every single book to a 60-second Joe sentence, essentially.
Yeah.
And you might have to do hashtag fake news on every single one of them.
Like Horus Rising in 60 seconds, go. And Joe will be like, so, and then it's done, 60 seconds, finished. I think that'd be fucking mega. I think it'd be a great set of shorts. I think it'd be
longer than 60 seconds.
No, but that's the challenge, isn't it? That you have to get it into 60 seconds. I think YouTube Shorts allows you to do longer now. I think you could do like up to 3 minutes or something.
I saw someone in chat said Votan are probably the closest to the good guys, which you probably could make an argument for as well.
Do they have enough narrative to really justify that
really.
right now, though? Because they're quite weak at narrative.
They barely have anything. They basically are just like, we're going to stay... They're kind of like fantasy dwarves, where they're just like, we're going to stay in our area, and if anyone comes near, we'll tell them to leave or kill them.
Yeah, with our mining tools.
Yes.
Yeah. It won't be a comfortable death.
No.
Anyway, I want to know what you guys think watching at home. So you can stick it on postcards in the chat and we'll talk about it, because I feel like this is better if it's like last night. This is better if it's an interactive discussion. If you want to support us, you can also become a member of the channel, or you can gift members. I see we have 12 already. Thank you so much, you wonderful human beings. So we'll probably jump into chat pretty soon, because I want to keep on top of chat, because I don't want to build up 20 comments that we then end up speaking for another like hour and a half after we're supposed to.
Salamanders are the nicest Imperium people.
Are they? Why?
Because they're the only Space Marines that actually care about protecting humans.
I feel like Ultramarines are probably all right.
Yeah, they protect 500 worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd say on average
less than 500, but like
it's 500, isn't it? The 500.
Well, they were called the 500 originally, but
it was 500 at one point.
Yeah.
They're constantly like fighting the borders and stuff, but it's still the Imperium on like.
But if you were going to live in a section of the galaxy of the Imperium, you'd
I think I'd rather live near Ultramar than like
Terra
on what's the home world of the Salamanders? It's not It's not Vulcan, isn't it?
I've no idea.
Do you think the standard guardsman is quite a good guy? The standard Imperial guardsman.
Most of them are, yeah.
Who's just trying to get by,
yeah,
defend his emperor.
Well, they're kind of indoctrinated to think that like the best thing I can do is die.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go do that, but I'll die shooting someone.
Yeah, because the attrition rate is like most of them die in the first 10 minutes, isn't it?
Whereas the 15 hours is the average lifespan of a guardsman when he arrives on a planet.
Is it?
Yeah. It's a great book called 15 Hours.
Is there?
Yeah.
Didn't know.
That's cool. I feel like being a rogue trader would be good.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to live on Nocturne.
Why?
It's a death world.
It's like perpetually nighttime, but everything's... But it's a giant volcano planet, so there's just lava,
giant lizards everywhere trying to kill you.
Yeah, I'd prefer to live on like Fenris.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, there's no wolves there.
No.
Yeah,
I'm much better in the cold.
Yeah,
I don't know about that, Joe. Are you?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
If it's hot, you complain it's too hot.
Yeah.
If it's cold, you complain it's too cold.
You can put more layers on when it's.
And in my experience so far, in 2-3 years, is there's never an in between. It's one or the other. What's today? Too hot or too cold?
It's all right at the moment.
Oh. When we walk to the shop and back in the sun, it'll be too hot then.
I'll find something to complain about. Don't worry.
Amazing. Right, let's know what you think, chat. Anyway, thank you so much, Farmer George, right off the bat before we were even fully live, for the 5 gifted memberships.
Thank you, Farmer George. I hope that you win a year's supply of red diesel.
What's red diesel? Oh, is this the stuff they use in tractors?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I hope.
Is it expensive otherwise?
Yeah.
Is it?
Well, it's just fuel, isn't it? Also, like, aren't the Tyranids running away from something? That's like the general premise, isn't it? There's two concepts for Tyranids.
Yeah.
They're literally the scouting force for a much larger invasion because they just fly through space. Or the other premise is they're running from something worse.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever really confirmed it or not what they're doing.
I like the latter concept.
Yeah,
they're running from something worse.
But it sometimes contradicts each other because what's happened is that the Tyranids are all coming in.
They're coming from different angles.
But then there's new ones coming in underneath the solar plane as well.
Yeah, I think the third one is the theory is that they've just literally eaten every other galaxy, and this is their converging on the last one.
I'm into that.
Which
I like that as a concept.
Worrying.
Do you think we're? I mean, there's no way, surely. So, I'd imagine people said this when they used to play 3rd and 4th edition fantasy. But surely there's no way they're going to nuke the 41st millennium, because you could argue that they've got multiple avenues of nuking the 41st millennium if they wanted to.
Yeah,
with the Tyranid consumption, with the Orc giant war, with chaos of Necrons.
It's basically every faction.
They have lots of ways where they could go. Day 1 reset. Do you think they'll ever do that?
If they stop making money, maybe.
I think they nuked Old World because they were like, it's not making as much money. It's not as popular as we hoped it would be. 40k is more popular. We need to revitalize a game system that's easier to use. And we could either keep the existing world we have and make an entirely new game system, or destroy it, start again with a new story.
Yeah.
But also, I think it had something to do with copyright as well.
Do you think they picked if we ignore the copyright thing, do you think they picked the better route of doing it, or do you think there was a better way of doing it?
I think they probably could have just worked on the game system to get rid of the movement tiles. But the problem is you're never gonna please everyone. And Old World and Warhammer Fantasy had been movement trays forever.
Yeah.
So getting rid of them was gonna upset a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think what they would have been better off doing at the time was just creating a third mainstream game.
Okay.
And if Age of Sigmar took over Old World, they could slowly push the Old World stuff.
We're going off on a fucking tangent here, chat. Do you think AOS was trying to 40k fantasy, as in apply 40k kind of levels of tabletop interaction to fantasy? Or do you think they flat reset it and was like, this is now going to be our introduction game? Because if you remember the very early days of AOS, there was no points.
AOS has always kind of felt like the test bed for 40k nowadays.
Yeah, it's almost like the feeder system.
Yeah, but I think it's a way of revitalizing Old World and making it more easy to play, like an introduction, but also we could trial out stuff there. If it works, we'll port it over to 40k. And then if it doesn't work, we'll try something else.
I think my honest belief is if they'd have continued with fantasy, let's forget for a moment copyright being a thing, or not copyright, not trademarking, but the other one, intellectual property protection. Just imagine that wasn't a thing and not an issue, because obviously when it's orcs and goblins and elves and dwarves, you do have an issue with other people being able to copy that IP and going tough. It's always existed. It's in Tolkien lore. It's everywhere.
It's in everything.
I personally believe that if they'd have continued with the universe as it was, with the factions that existed, and they'd have slowly moved the game away from things like movement trays and into things like mechanics like 40k has, and they'd have done the same level of model refreshing and redesigning that they've done, but they've kept the aesthetic high elves, dwarfs, orcs and goblins, I reckon at the moment that'd be my main game.
I agree. I so much prefer the Old World setting to Age of Sigmar, with all everyone's on like a weird version of Earth, and all the factions are like just a bit more interesting than like you would have in actual history.
Yeah.
And so like you just have the classic dwarves, elves and stuff. They could still rename them as like the Dowie or whatever they call them now, and just have the same sort of factions going around, same sort of landscape. Because the thing I don't really like about Age of Sigmar is that there's like the realms or whatever it is. Not really into that. I prefer, when it's like a fantasy setting, I prefer it to be like the massive fantasy map they used to have is really cool.
Yeah, we've got that in it somewhere. I would ask to get it framed.
I just way preferred that.
But getting it framed would be quite hard because it's massive.
I think I agree with you. I don't. Someone said to me, if you look at, it might have been you, if you look at the realms like planets.
Yeah, Joe said that to me, I think.
Then it's a little bit more easy to understand.
Yeah. It's not even easy to understand for me. It's just that I think it's more interesting if there's locations and they're near each other or not near each other, or if like this is like the deserty area of all the Egyptian skeletons, or this is the mountain area of all the dwarves, or this is like all the bogmire vampire zombie people here. I just thought that was better.
It was easy to understand,
setting.
but I think at the time it meant, because of the situation they're in, is that it was harder to narratively have some people fight other people.
Yeah, definitely.
Because like high elves could fight everyone, and the corsairs could, because they could just use the
funny island,
and go around. Whereas dwarves were kind of just landlocked in specific areas.
Yeah, but they were near like quite a few races though, because the mountainy bit was like kind of in the middle.
True, in the middle, yeah.
It goes the whole way through.
But like obviously the Tomb Kings were kind of just stuck off to one side.
They were down the bottom, yeah.
And obviously, like the Bretonians were like below the Tomb Kings, but above the Empire, and all they had was like the woods next to them, which is where the wood elves were.
I'll never understand why they went down the route of doing the realms rather than just continuing to keep an old style fantasy map and then having the factions.
I think the design and aesthetic of the old stuff is way stronger than the new Age of Sigmar stuff. New Age of Sigmar models look incredible, but if they did that design philosophy for the old world factions, I think that would have been like the best option.
Well, the realm gates basically means that everyone can fight everyone.
Yeah,
all the time. It's a narrative, like get out of jail
but do you need that in the setting? Do you have to be able to fight everyone all the time?
I think so, because like for story wise kind of situations, because like you had like the realm gate wars kind of thing, so it's like everyone's fighting for control of all the things. But like the end times for old world is basically because all the different realms are each law of magic.
Yeah.
So basically the magic elements just kind of exploded.
Yeah.
And went everywhere. But I think basically it was easier for them to do that than to change all the name. I think they're like, because they're like, we can't please everyone. We'll just upset. We'll just do worst case scenario. We'll piss a bunch of people off. Instead of like pampering to some people and upsetting.
They thought we'll upset literally everyone.
We'll get them. But the models you own, you can play in the new game system.
Sure.
And I personally prefer AOS to Old World in terms of the rules and the models.
I prefer the rules of Sigmar to Old World.
But
that's not what I'm hitting on.
I prefer the lore of Old World.
Yeah.
But Age of Sigmar is getting really good, like a really good narrative setting is working out. But I think they've learned that treat humanity in Age of Sigmar exactly like Old World humanity. Yeah. They're almost identical.
Yeah, they are.
How they function, how they talk, how they work, and their societies.
I think my dreams now would have been like just do Old World lore with Sigmar rules, basically. Yeah. Put everyone around base if you want. That's fine with me.
I think I don't want to delve too much into rules because that's not what the stream's about today. Yeah. But I think the Sigmar rules are very interesting to me. My experience over the course of the last year.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is we were excited about it coming. We were sold an incredible game. We went and did the day at the zoo. It turned out to be what we thought was incredible. We came home full of the joys and excitement of AOS. We played it for a few months and went, we've got bored of it now.
Yeah,
the rules. I love it.
The rules. He loves it so much.
Yeah, you play everything.
He loves it so much. He continues to choose to play 40k instead of AOS.
Yeah.
He keeps saying he loves it, but he'll rather play 40k.
Well, I had one choice. One was like my birthday stream or whatever it was, and I picked 40k, and then we haven't touched it since.
It wasn't just that. Though. There was like 2 or 3 occasions, and then you have your friends over on Sunday sometimes, and you play 40k.
Well, that's dependent. It's friend dependent. So if I play Simon, we play 40k. If I play Dan, I play Age of Sigmar.
When Dan came over the other Sunday, what did you play?
I played Age of Sigmar.
Did you?
Yeah. And then I played 40k with Simon. There were 2 people here. Played 2 different games.
I think it got tedious fast.
Yeah.
If you're playing every week, I was hoping by now something would have come out that would have made it super exciting again, but. I think for me, the biggest problem that AOS has, and I find this very, very interesting because of some of the criticism that we throw at 40k, I then look at the AOS rule system and be like, I'm going to stop criticising it. So like I throw criticism at 40k for random secondaries. I actually think it's made it one of my favourite things.
Oh, really?
Because the AOS fixed secondaries is just dull now.
I'm just going to do the same thing every time.
I'm just going to do a thing that I know I can guarantee do.
I think so. The thing about Age of Sigmar,
Bravestar said, if you really love it, you'd be dressed as a fire slayer.
we don't play. Liam won't let me play Sigmar on the channel.
That's not true.
I think he would if he dressed as a fire slayer.
It's not happening, is it? So.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
We've got AOS coming soon, actually, as well.
Yeah.
Age of Sigmar I think is the best game system that Games Workshop's ever put out.
I prefer current temp to current Sigmar.
But the thing about Sigmar is that it's got a really high skill expression in the sense that if you understand the game at its root, you'll win most of your games on the base because you can see further ahead. It's the most balanced game that they've ever made. So, but it's also you can't predict it because of how. So you can manage your secondaries really well, but because of the reactionary stratagems your opponent can do, like the redeploy, like the shooting in your opponent, like the Overwatch, like counter charges is that unlike 40k, you could talk out your turns. So I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll pull this secondary, I'll score this, I'll go over there. Whereas Age of Sigmar, you can't guess how a turn's going to play out, and there's no units in Age of Sigmar really that will just go into another unit and just flatten it.
Which is a positive.
Which is really, really good.
That being said, there are the occasional big giant monster in Age of Sigmar that really should go in and flatten, and it still doesn't. And that's maybe not quite right.
Yeah, but I think the thing is that because there's no guarantees, you have to play more tactically. Like most times in 40k, I'm going to charge this unit to that. That's dead. I know that's dead. There's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah, you're talking like really rare dice spikes, or you rolling on a Tuesday night.
Yeah. So it's like most of the time you can guarantee what you want to kill will die, and your opponent has nothing to do about it. Whereas both players in Age of Sigmar both have an equal chance of winning.
There are things that I prefer about Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, I do think that 40k also has equal chance of winning a lot of the time.
The only difference to 40k is the random secondaries.
Yeah.
So that what really sends it in opposite, because you can have a superior force in 40k, you can be the better player, you could have microwave dice, right? But if you get nothing but awful secondaries...
But I think if you are the better player, you probably build your army around scoring secondaries.
Yeah, you probably can guarantee
because you know what all the secondaries are. You know most of the time you got units to do the secondaries. So it is random.
But as I've been displaying on every game stream in the last month, right, if you can't roll higher than a 3...
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it. And playing against Paddy, he was like, I'm going to roll 14 4+ in a row.
That's exacerbated, I think, in AOS. Because one of the things I prefer about AOS, and if I'm being honest about it, is the fact that the dice result is the dice result.
Yeah, that's true.
Almost 99% of the time. And that's one of those things where, my least favourite thing... I'll be honest, so simple. One of my least favourite things in the world about 40k, command point reroll.
Yeah.
Fucking hate it. Hate it.
Joey's favourite strat.
Absolutely. No, it's not. It's grenades or tank shock.
Oh, so it's third favourite strat, yeah.
Or third paid.
Fourth, sorry, yeah. I apologise.
I think so. 40k has really, really good core stratagems.
Yeah.
They're all really good. It's a shame that not every army can use them.
Tank shot, yeah.
Sheep also nailed it, I think. AOS flubbed the Codex releases, which I think has massively reduced the excitement of new stuff. I think that's 100% the truth for me.
That's true.
I reckon... And I'm going to add some caveats here before people murder me for this, but I reckon if the AOS battle tomes came out with the level of content that, say, 40k Codexes did, my excitement would have probably continued because there's constant loads of new stuff coming out. The caveat I will add is, I think Joe is correct. 4th edition AOS is the most balanced game they've ever made. I think almost it's too balanced, which leads to some of the tedium, I think, for me personally, but it does make it a better competitive game. And I would suggest that if they did bring out Codex levels of depth in the battle tomes, that makes it significantly harder to hold that balance.
And I know people are upset with the Age of Sigmar battle tome release, but I think the team that make Age of Sigmar is possibly the best designed team Games Workshop ever had on any game system.
Again, I agree.
Bar none.
I agree.
They understand the game, they understand the end user, they understand it all, and they've also got access to the best model designers out of any of the game systems as well. And their kind of design philosophy at the moment, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. Right? If it's working, don't mess around.
Yeah, but
if stuff is wrong, if it isn't working, they just go we'll just make that tweak. And that's why people are upset from the from the indexes to the books, because Games Workshop have gone, well, the indexes are working, we're not going to mess with it.
So they're victim of their own success.
But I would argue as well that the fucking shareholders probably aren't happy with the AOS team either.
Yeah.
Because what happens when a Codex comes out that completely changes the way a 40k army plays?
Everyone buys new stuff.
Yeah, but Games Workshop, I think Games Workshop's in a weird position. We've talked about this a million times. Is Games Workshop wants to make money for its shareholders, but they're also that company that goes, we're perfectly happy with only making 1,000 of this book and box.
I think,
and once it's sold out,
I very much agree with what Gary said. I think the worst change to AOS was changing the seasonal rules to 12 months. It was really good at a 6-monthly change up. That probably would have kept, because at this point, we would have already had a change. and that may have been like, oh, I'm excited again.
Is like so long. Like we're having the thing I don't like about 40k at the moment is they're only changing the tournament pack once a year now.
Yeah,
it's just such a long time.
But like, well, at the same time, when they do change it, they still don't make enough to sell them.
Here's a question, right?
17, Your Honour.
If 10th edition wasn't the absolute car crash that it was when it came out, right? Like, do you think it would be more like we'd be getting the AOS treatment now?
What do you mean?
As in, they wouldn't have to change stuff
every
3 months.
It's interesting.
Points changes every 3 months. They wouldn't have to, like when the Codex comes out, the index detachment would have stayed the same, and the units wouldn't have to be changed.
It's interesting because I think that we've probably said over the last 6 months, was probably fair, that we think that it's actually in a very balanced place now, and we're still seeing constant tweaks in balanced data slates, and we're getting Grotmus detachments, etc.
Well, Age of Sigmar got the Grotmus attachments, not as many, admittedly.
No, they should have had a lot more.
They should have had a lot more, but like they still have the points tweaks, they still have the rules changes, but because we don't cover it, we're not aware of it as much as we are. Because I keep on top of it. There are updates in FAQs every 3 to 6 months in Age of Sigmar, but they're just not big. They're not earth changing.
I think it's fun to have new stuff change, though. I think that's part of the fun that is the variety of it.
I like meta changes.
Yeah, I like when it swaps around. It's the same as video games. Whenever they swap characters around or change stats or anything, it's just nice to have a mix-up.
It is nice, but it's also a balancing nightmare.
Yeah, for sure.
And like that 40k team, like, must be stressed all the time.
I think they're less stressed now, but yeah.
And that's because like we have to have a varying meta every 3 months. So we have to change this. If we change this, we have to change that, right? And if we drop a codex in the mix, it's like you're adding more plates. You're taking plates away. It's like, and I've got friends who have gone away from 40k and they're coming back to it now, and they're like, this is like the worst situation I've ever come back into the hobby for.
Yeah. Okay.
Because there's rules everywhere.
I think for me as well, one of the biggest things, Weeman's touched on it as well. He says Fourth Sigmar is dull and forgetful. I don't 100% agree with that, but the next part I do agree with. He says it streams badly. I think it does stream badly.
Well, because it's not a shooting game.
Sigmar.
Yeah. I think it streams really badly. So I went to Warhammer World in December and played my mate Martin. I took my Stormcast, played his cities. I had a fucking great time. I very much enjoyed the game. I came home and was thinking about what Sigmar models I could build because I really enjoyed it so much. But I do think it streams badly.
Yeah, I think
it's because Age of Sigmar is a movement and combat game. It's not move psychic. Well, it's a psychic one as well, but it's all about model placement and picking the right charges and reacting to charges. Whereas in 40k, you have immensely overwhelming shooting as well.
I think someone has said like 40k armies have so much variety in playing style as well. I think potentially more than Sigmar has.
Sigmar has, so 40k does, and that comes from the fact that there's no limitations on army building, which I also think is a negative.
There's not much limitations on Sigmar.
The limitation of Sigmar is that you have the detachment system. So you pick a character, and that character has supporting units, and that kind of dictates how the army plays.
Yeah.
So you don't tend to use, like in Space Marines, you pick one character and a supporting unit, or you don't have the character, you just have the unit, and you could just take whatever you want. Whereas in Age of Sigmar, you go, I've got a vampire, he buffs other vampire units near him. So you kind of go, I don't take any dogs, I don't take any bats, I don't take any skeletons, right? But I've got another vampire who buffs those things, so they go into their little detachment. So I think it's, but that becomes more effort in the building stage because you are picking how your army specifically plays at the army building stage.
But I don't really know much about AOS, to be fair. But like when I did do Iron Jaws a little bit, it wasn't exactly difficult to just be like, all right, I've got 3 characters, and now I can take literally anything I want.
The orc stuff's really just like, I've got a war boss. Orcs follow.
I don't know. It's like, I don't want anyone to ever think that I think AOS is bad or boring. I don't. I really don't. I actually like the game. I like AOS 4. I do struggle with getting excited to play it again.
Yeah.
When I'm playing it, I've said this to you before, when I'm playing it, I have a great time. I do, genuinely, I enjoy it. When I finish playing it, I will find it very easy to slip back into 40k list crafting and not worry about AOS again.
Yeah.
So if you get me at the table playing AOS, I'll have a great time, but I don't get excited for it. It doesn't excite me. 40k at this point in its life cycle, 40k excites me. AOS doesn't.
Yeah, same.
I do have fun with it. I think it's harder to stream. I think it's harder to showcase any level of excitement because it's kind of move in middle, everyone fights each other, that's 3 turns done and we're finished.
Yeah.
And I think if we could make it a more interesting, fun stream game, I think that to do that we need a level of randomness, which the current rule set doesn't really put in.
Well, I think it's also representative of the kind of warfare that it is. Right.
Which is fine. Again, and playing it, perfect.
Yeah.
But to watch it, they've moved everything in the middle.
That's the thing. I think the game's really good. I think the models are really good. I'm not that bothered about the lore, to be honest. But I haven't really invested any time in it. But I do think it is quite a dull watch just for streaming. To play, it's great.
I think what they need is a version of Kill Team in Age of Sigmar.
Do they not have that?
Warcry.
They've got Warcry, which is a good game system as well, right? I'm not bashing it at all. Peachy, when he was here, was showing us how he'd made all these custom war bands, which then made it feel a lot because Warcry is just I've got a team, you've got a team, we're going to fight, right? Much like 40k and Age of Sigmar as it is. I think Age of Sigmar would benefit from I've got a unit of witch hunters, or I've got a witch hunter who's got a war band and they're hunting down a witch in a bog, to make you feel a lot more atmosthetic kind of thing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Predators, thank you for the 2. The ultimate bad guy is Joe's Rolling.
Oh, yeah. Only on camera.
Only on camera?
Yeah. You're doing all right this morning.
Yeah.
He's playing tonight again.
It's going to be
I'm
awful.
on a whale of a time at the moment.
Yeah.
What are you playing tonight?
Raven Guard.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to take World Eaters, but I'm not taking any Exalted 8-pound.
No?
We don't have any.
What are you going to take?
We don't have it. 8 normal 8 pound.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We've got 15 8-pounds.
You might go back. You might go back to being able to have fun against World Eaters again.
I think you're having fun today.
Yeah, I was doing all right.
Yeah.
I know what you did last roll. Thank you for the 1 gifted. Stick Monkey, thank you for the 5. It's not so much that it's ironic, it's that they were the focus of the original satire. They are the protagonists rather than the good guys. This is in reference to the chat about the Imperium.
Yeah.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
They're not all... I think Imperium is the most, grey area, good or bad, really. Because there are horrendous people in the Imperium, but then a lot of them are also actually, trying to benefit humanity overall.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think a lot of the... people in the Inquisition and the Grey Knights and stuff are they are generally trying to limit human death and suffering. Yeah. However, then there's the religious right side, which is just kill everyone.
That's why they
might be chaos.
The Inquisition's a really good example because their jobs are to enforce order, and catch criminals.
Order,
but some of them go some of them are proper hardline religious nutters.
Yeah,
who are it's you put Marmite in your cheese sandwich. That's heresy.
Yeah,
you will die.
You're gonna die.
I love Marmite and cheese sandwich.
Yeah. But then there's they're to fight the enemy, we must work with the enemy. So I've made an army of cheese and Marmite sandwiches.
There's nothing
and
quite
I will batter people to death with them.
Yeah, throw them all.
There's nothing quite like cheesy yeast on your tongue, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
you're trying to figure out what this means.
Yeah, and then you've got people within the same sections of it. So you've got the there's the Xenos part of the.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Actually.
So they're some of them are I'm going to learn everything I can about this alien race.
I find the Xenos Inquisitors are usually more interesting than the religious ones.
Yeah, because they're I'm going to learn everything I can about this race so I can fight it, and then the other Xenos Inquisitors I will know nothing about it because to know about it is to potentially ruin my brain. Yeah. So I will just murder all of them.
I actually say Space Wolves in 40k are actually leaning towards good guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because of that bit where they basically beat up the Grey Knights for a bit because the Grey Knights are trying to destroy a planet.
They're just party boys, aren't they?
They're just having fun,
Frat boys.
Yeah.
Thank you anyway, Sean, for the 5-year legend, and thank you for the 1 gifted membership. 95 Ginger Rage, thank you for 5 gifted memberships.
Thank you. I hope that any models you build, paint, and use throughout the rest of the year, no matter where you leave them, they don't get a coating of dust on them that sticks to it. Huh? Sometimes you get dust on stuff and you go to brush it off, and somehow it's just adhered to the model. It's so annoying.
I'm into it. And then the last one, because we've only got 70 members right now, Joe, is Wee Man. Thank you for 5 gifted memberships.
Thank you, Wee Man.
He's vegetarian.
I know.
It froze him now every time I say it.
Yeah. I hope that they make a actual nice tasting vegetarian sausage. Never had a good tasting vegetarian sausage.
Have you ever eaten vegetarian sausage? I never have.
I tried it. It's all right, but I was just like, it's just not there. I tell you what, vegetarian chicken nuggets, banging. I'd eat vegetarian chicken nuggets over normal chicken nuggets.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. They taste incredible. Vegetarians know how to make nice tasting chicken things, fake chicken. But the other like anything that's pork based, it's not the same.
Interesting. I wonder why they. Well, there's probably a reason. I think it's because most of the normal chicken nuggets you buy are probably nowadays 11% chicken and 89% other shit. That's probably why.
See, I tried the Greg sausage roll. It just tastes like paste. It's just like you're trying to eat like a really soft crayon.
I mean, the vegans I've spoken to do say the Greg sausage vegan roll is good, but like, do they remember the real taste of meat?
I haven't been to Greg's in a very long time, despite the fact the petrol station from over the road from where I live now are Greg's as well.
Really, Morrison's Greg's.
I don't go in there.
That's
dangerous. Because there was once I pulled up to a pump, got my fuel, and it was like you can't pay at pump, you have to pay at the kiosk. So I was like, cool, whatever. But it was the first time I've been in there since they opened it. Walked in, and all I could smell was Greg straight away. I was like, well, I'm here.
Sausage and bean bake, banging.
I like a steak bake if it's hot enough that the first time you bite it, it blisters the roof of your mouth.
No.
Fucking banging that is, honestly.
I love a steak bake, but it has to cool down a bit.
Thank you, Mr. the Limey Panda, for the 10. Why the Necrons are the good guys? Number 1, they have the moral high ground of having won the war in heaven. Number 2, they have access to massive super weapons they don't use. So do the Russians. Doesn't make them the good guys. Number 3, they're hilarious. Trazin. #Trazin.
Well, the thing about the Necrons is they were duped into becoming. Well, they were basically. They changed their background, didn't they? Because the original background is they were all basically dying from
that is the background.
Space.
They got space cancer.
And they were all dying horribly. And then the Necron or the Catan turned up and we can heal you, and then psych, robots now. But then they imprisoned
I see what
them.
you mean about doing the reels.
Yeah.
Because this is my point.
Yeah.
It'd be great, wouldn't it? If you put great reels content.
Heaven, yeah.
It'd be great reels content.
Yeah.
And then
psych. That's just fucking great.
And then just and then the problem is now is that the Necrons basically captured the Catan, splintered them, and basically tortured them into being a battery.
Yeah, well, they weren't very happy about me turning to robots.
Yeah.
I'd say it's probably an exaggeration to say they won the war in heaven, as if they ended up as mindless robot zombies.
Yeah, and they went to sleep because they're bored.
They needed a nap.
Although, Trazin is actually my favourite Necron character.
Yeah, I probably agree.
Because he's just a grumpy old man going around collecting things.
I really like the one that is old military officer guy who thinks he's still actually got, he's still alive, and he's basically got Necron dementia, and is occasionally slips out of it. It's still knows that he is a robot, but most of the time he just thinks he's still fighting the war in heaven.
I don't know who that is.
I can't remember what his name is, but he's a really good character.
I actually really like the Necrons.
I like Necrons.
I've been seeing. You're both in the group chat. Lee's been posting updates of the painted models. I don't know if you did actually. If you sent it to me on iMessage, I'll show you. They're looking really nice actually.
He did a couple last month, I think.
I'm gonna message him and be like, can you tell me the colours for basing? Because the only one I actually want to paint is the fucking Void Dragon. I don't want to paint it.
Oh really? Yeah.
I love the Void Dragon.
Void Dragon's
so
cool.
much.
They really need to do the Void Dragon to the other Catan.
I love the.
I did find it odd that they went, we're going to do one.
You'll get one.
Yeah.
I wish they did the other ones.
I need to see what he's down this weekend actually because he's coming to the South Coast.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
And so I'm going to talk to him this weekend. My favourite thing to do in Warhammer when it comes to painting, as you are mostly aware, both of you, is paint the odd couple of characters here and there. I can do that and spend hours on it. An hour's gone. Look, have you seen he's already starting to clear his lap?
Yeah, he's preparing his liquid death.
So my favourite thing to do is paint like a couple of characters. And I want to say, Lee, what colours are you using? Because then I can just paint a couple of characters.
Yeah.
And you can just do the rest of the army, and I'll be happy.
Oh yeah, Oberon.
Yeah.
Xandrak's the cool dementia one, and then Oberon his bodyguard that like basically just makes sure he doesn't randomly die. I can't remember what book they're in, but it's really good. There's some really good Necron books.
Have you ever listened to The Infinite and Divine?
No, I really want to.
Great book.
I need to do some 40k ones.
I've not done a pure Necron book. I've done. So, what's his name?
Dave, Frank, Stuart, Henry.
Trazyn. Trazyn's got a really good bit part in the Fall of Cadia.
Yeah,
he does.
He turns up and just start pokeballing like stuff everywhere. So he's like having it. He like because they get attacked and he's helping. What's his fucking name?
Dave, Frank,
Calgar.
Stephen, Jeffrey,
the
Charles
guy.
So
Cool.
Yeah, he's helping Cool basically fix the pylons.
Better cool.
In like a desperate last stand, they're being attacked. And he's like throwing out his Pokeballs, and he's like, "Here's an entire company of Ultramarines from Horus Heresy."
He pops out random Custodes as well, doesn't he?
A Custodes Blade Champion just comes out of a Pokeball.
Like, what's going on,
and
boys?
then, like a bunch of Salamanders Dreadnoughts, and then he's like, and then he's got like one ball left, and they're like, and Cool's like, "You use that one?" He's like, "Nah." He's like, "Because if I let it out, it's going to cause a problem." And he's like, "Well, we kind of have to." And it's the one that's got Inquisitor Greyfax in it. And the entire army of stormtroopers.
Infinite Divine is such a good book though, because some people in chat talk about it. It's a great book. Listen to it. It's honestly fantastic.
He's also got a great bit part in the second Fabulous Bill book. Where Fabulous Bill goes onto the planet to find some gene seed, and it's like, and then it's like it's all a trap, and Trazyn's like, "Hey, I'm gonna catch you now." But they make a deal. They're like grumpy old men together having a chat.
Necrons are just grumpy old men, most of them.
But due to that, Trazyn does have a perfect clone of Fulgrim in his possession.
Yeah, because he swapped it, didn't he?
Yeah.
For something. What did Bill get? Did he get like
basically
semen?
He got all of the gene seed.
Yeah, that was it.
He got like 50,000 gene seed.
Many gene seeds
for Emperor's Children because it went missing. And also Trazyn took all of the annoying Emperor's Children on his ship. He's like, "Please take them."
Yeah,
I hate them.
That's so annoying.
Yeah.
So we've got 350 from Brandon who says, from Benjamin who says, the heroes of the Imperium are the Inquisition.
That's a bold claim.
Yeah.
I'd struggle to agree.
Heroes? Yeah.
If we look
some
at
of them some of the Inquisitors are really cool.
But then you look at Inquisitor Crickman, who was like, if we kill all the people, then the Tyranids can't eat them.
Yeah.
It's a solid choice.
Does technically work.
It makes sense.
Technically work.
If we murder everyone, the Tyranids can't.
If we kill them before they do, we'll be all right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're not entirely wrong because the Tyranids don't get stronger then from consuming mass.
Yeah. That is true. It's true. But you also genocide 12 planets.
Yeah.
But they die anyway. Horrible deaths.
Just win.
It's like one and done, set on fire, dead.
It didn't really work, they did it.
Thank you, Brandon. Like I say, for the $5, Eldari were the benevolent rulers of the galaxy for 60-some million years. Just saying.
Who?
The Eldari.
Yeah,
but how did that end?
And they had one too many orgies.
They literally one too many and Celeste popped out.
Yeah, but that doesn't make them bad, does it?
Well, they got really depraved. Like they were basically descending into what the Emperor's Children are now.
But what I'm saying is, when they ruled the galaxy, they weren't just murder fucking everything in their path. They were just lived peacefully.
Murder fucking.
They are
at home.
Yeah, each other.
Yeah, keep it at home. Don't take it into the galaxy.
They are responsible for 25% of the problems chaos cause.
Well,
technically.
Yeah.
And like 99.9% of them turned into essentially Eldar Emperor's children.
Without Slaanesh, Joe would just be miserable.
True, no gooning.
Yeah, and now like And now, like Eldar, like the best case scenario, they get to live as a sentient pebble. You know?
Hey, what?
They get to be a gemstone.
That's another short.
Yeah.
This is what I mean, right?
Yeah. Like if all goes well, they look like one of those little, those bowls that you get in bathrooms just full of rocks.
Not like being a Wraith Knight. No, just a bowl.
No, you can only be a Wraith Knight if you've got a twin. If you don't have a twin,
is that the one?
Luck. Yeah.
But
Wraith Knight is a live and dead twin.
You could be a little one, can you?
You could be you could be
Wraith Knights are supposedly narratively incredibly rare because you need a set of twins. One of them has to have died, and one of them is still alive. And then the one that is alive, pilots the Wraith Knight, gets connected to the one that's died because Eldari twins struggle to be apart from their twin.
Yeah.
And that's why when they came out and they were broken, you just saw Wraith Knights everywhere because there's clearly loads of twins.
Yeah, just
loads
take 6 in your army.
Loads.
Yeah,
you can take 6 in an army now as well, which
you can't
points
need 12 twins.
I'm into it. I like the idea. I like the idea of running.
Also, as hasn't Nurgle got Eldar God?
They do. They got the elf one in a jar or something.
Yeah, he just feeds there all of his new.
The bad
juices.
stuff. Yeah.
Thank you, Benjamin, for the 350. Harlequins are the good guys, anti-chaos. Harlequins...
I'd say they're like chaotic neutral.
They're kind of good guys only because the reason why the Eldari birthed Trinesh is literally the Harlequins' job to go around and warn everybody about that past so that it doesn't come to fruition
But they're also like... you're part of my play. They basically go out. You go, you're part of my play. Right, and what happens is the consequences of what you do is the end of the play. So they pick a bunch of random people in the universe because they want an outcome to specifically happen somewhere at some point. So they kind of like nudge people in certain directions. But if someone gets in their way, they're like, dead.
I mean, that's 40k.
Yeah.
Someone gets in anyone's way, dead.
Yeah. The Harlequins are really evil.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they're like the ultimate control freaks. They're like, the play goes like this, it cannot divert from it.
Are you saying...
If it diverts from that...
Are you saying control
shit will
freaks
go
are
down.
evil?
In 40k, yeah, they are. Because they're like...
Clarify.
They're like, this spaceship is rolling through space with no power. There's a planet in the way, that's a problem. To nudge that planet out of the direction. Oh, it's gone.
Whoopsie.
No more planet. Story continues.
Thank you anyway, Ben. Thank you, Chad, for the $5. What would they even do if they soft reset 40k? The Age of Gulliman. I don't know what they would do if they soft reset 40k, actually.
So what they could do is they could kill the Emperor.
Yeah.
What they would do is kill their fucking share price.
Yeah, true.
Well, I think they would. I think if they want to
it.
continue the storyline, like killing the Emperor is always it's something they've always got in the bag.
Do you think that constitutes a soft reset, killing the Emperor?
No.
I think you change who the good guys are, who the bad guys are. I don't think you do a rules change. Oh, you could do like a few little rules.
No, forget rules. I'm talking about narratively. Do you think killing the Emperor would classify as a soft reset to the narrative, or do you think it's just a continuation?
Well, it's like a
of current?
reset button on him because he comes back to life anyway.
He supposedly comes back to life anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be much of a reset if he died and then just came back.
I think it changes the map a bit.
Oh yeah, it changed the map a bit, but I think it's nothing near like what Old World got.
No. It just goes from like the Imperium is this to like the Imperium is this.
So what would you do for a soft? If you had to do a soft reset for 40k, how would you do it?
Kill Abaddon.
No, it doesn't change much.
Is that because he's not useful?
No, he is. I just think, in terms of the heads of, if he dies, someone will just take his place.
I think I do genuinely think they should do that though, because it would shake up the bad guy team.
I think they kill the Emperor.
Yeah.
Bring him back alive because that creates like a massive power imbalance.
I think it'd be cool if like Valdor came back and killed the Emperor because he's like trying to turn him into a god.
Yeah, I'd like to see a civil war within the Imperium.
That'd be cool.
Like
it'd be cool if they had like basically the crazy religious people versus everyone that's not mental.
Yeah. Because Gilliman basically doesn't like the church. He wants to get rid of the church. He accepts the fact that the Imperium needs the church, kind of thing.
It's too ingrained at this point.
So I like the idea of like someone like I was hoping it would be the Lion, but they never made. Like Lehman Russ turns up, and he's like, "This church is a problem."
The Lion's done fuck all, hasn't he?
He's done nothing.
He's just pissed about walking through the trees.
All of this stuff.
He just sat there in a meadow
He's
making
the son of the forest. All of this stuff.
Yeah, well, do something useful.
All this stuff you talk about, though, none of it is soft resets. All of it is just lore expansion.
If you, so like in terms of like rules resets,
blow up the sun.
Like I don't know how you'd reset the game. Like
a soft reset for we're talking narratively. A soft reset for narratively. I think so many of us are so like ingrained and dedicated to the 40k lore that anything we suggest, the Emperor dying and come back to life, the Emperor dying and staying dead, terror exploding, it's just an advancement of 40k lore. Because if you think about the reset between AOS and Old World, it is a monumental change.
I wouldn't call that a soft reset. That's just
a hard reset.
Full reset.
But I don't think any of the things we're talking about are actually soft resets. I don't think it challenges or changes the normal.
I don't know what you could really do, to be honest. You'd have to, like, if you like took out an entire faction, I guess that's a bit of a reset.
Well, you make it all happen on one planet.
Yeah,
so the concept of the Old World, I
reckon maybe if all the Primarchs, as they are coming back, they all had a big fight again, and like a bunch of them died, like Gilliman dies, Angron dies. Like if a bunch of them die,
if you kill all the existing ones and replace them with the ones that come back,
would you suggest that if Abaddon ends up sitting on the Golden Throne, that classifies as a soft reset to the narrative? The Age of Chaos,
big old reset,
becomes the Age of Chaos. You know.
But Games Workshop, when they sell the boxes are always based on the very clear good guy and the very.
I also do genuinely wish, and this is this isn't just because Angron. This also is because Lion as well. I do really wish that when something like the returning of a Primarch happens in 40k, Fulgrim coming very soon, hopefully. I do wish that the lore was more controversial and impactful, because these Primarchs kind of go, I'm back, and then it's like cool, and then there's a story about him being back, and then it's done. Like, hang on a minute, the fucking Lion returned, and nothing's kind of really changed. Well, like he should go into the Imperium and be like, what the fuck is going on here?
Well, I think personally 10th edition's been pretty weak on narrative as a whole.
I agree, actually.
The end of 9th was great for narrative stuff, and then 10th they were like, the Tyranids are doing something, and that's it.
I feel like 10th edition is like a placeholder edition, not just in rules and models, but also just the lore and the narrative overall, because they've gone.
Well, the rules massively changed.
But I think like 10th edition is very much a case of we need to get rid of all the resin kits.
Yeah, I can believe that.
We need to get rid of a bunch of stuff.
And Karanak.
And bring some random stuff back, because we've got a 3-year gap where we're taking stuff away, we have to give them something. So that so we'll just kind of skirt around the edges for an entire edition. Despite the fact that 10th edition I think should have been the biggest edition they've ever done, because it's an anniversary. It's an anniversary edition, really. I think 11th edition is when it'll all kick off again, because they've gone, all the resin's gone, all the metal's gone.
Yeah,
we're only plastic.
We've done the purging.
They did that awesome trailer for 10th where it's like Ginneman being like doing that really uplifting speech while looking at a map, seeing all the planets get eaten by Tyranids.
And
then that just did nothing.
I think what we'll see is 11th edition is when stuff starts to come back in and things get wrong. Because like even Kill Team, right? If you look at the previous editions of Kill Team and narratives as Kill Team, they've been quite impactful on the lore and what's important. And like they've fought over an important space station. They've had like a Space Hulk. They've had to fight over the entire planet, which is really important to like the Nachman Gauntlet kind of thing. This one, big gun, innit? We're all going to fight over a big gun. What's the gun do? Nothing once all the spaceships fly away.
Yeah.
It can only shoot nothing at that point.
I do wonder if like they're just going to do loads of narrative stuff at the end of the edition, which is like, it's cool, but I wish they did stuff through the whole edition.
I just feel like they're kind of, this is like the second film in the trilogy.
A little bit.
Just fill some space.
Because it was really cool in 9th where they started actually like making things happen and changing stuff that was going on. Like they literally brought back the Lion's homeworld is as a chaos mechanical planet. And then they're just like, well, we're going to go into the warp now with it. Bye. And then nothing happened.
I do like huge lore advancements.
Yeah,
I do. I really love them. Redacted83, thank you for the $5. I'm 100% confirmed why the Nids are here. Barabbas unwittingly signalled the Nids by destroying the Pharos.
Oh yeah, someone blew up a lighthouse or something, didn't they?
So Barabbas was an Iron Warrior.
Okay. Yeah, that's the guy.
On the planet Sotha, which is part of the 500 worlds. Sotha was a farming planet. It's really exciting, as you can imagine. Although, some great narrative on that planet. Some
good
Night
farming.
Lords invasion, dug a lot of pits, murdered some people in it. Great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Plowed some fields.
Yeah, a lot of ploughing going on that planet.
Yeah.
Right. But that's also... Sotha is also the home planet of the Emperor's Scythes. They're the Scythes because...
Farming.
Farmers.
Yeah.
They're all farmers.
They're all farmers, basically.
With farm strength.
So, yeah, but there was basically, they found the Pharos, which is actually an old Necron facility, and there was a Catan in it. But inside the Pharos was... Because this was during... they had that massive warp storm during the Heresy that would cut everyone off. And you had...
Do you mean the Heresy or the...
Yeah, the Horus Heresy. During the Horus Heresy, they had the big warp storm.
Right, yeah.
And so this is when you had... And then Gilliman was stuck out in the 500 worlds. He thought everyone was dead. So he started his own little Imperium too, which he put Sanguinius in charge of because he turned up. Then the Lion turned up. And then Vulcan was there as well. But he was mental.
Was he?
What party?
Was he?
Yeah, Vulcan had basically spent an entire year being tortured by Conrad Kurz and left in a murder cage maze. And had been murdered so many times he'd just gone mental.
The labyrinth.
This massive labyrinth. So they created another universe. But basically they found is that they couldn't see the Astronomicon, the light of the Emperor. Couldn't see it anymore. But so warp travel was really difficult. They discovered that the Pharos could be used as a beacon, a replacement for the Astronomicon. You could connect the two. It also works like a Stargate that could jump between planets. And because the Light Lords, it got blown up.
The Iron Warrior.
The Iron Warrior blew it up, but he was a goodie.
Was he?
He was a good guy.
Was he there?
Yeah. Him and the Crimson Fist were best friends. The Imperial Fist guy.
Thank you, Tank Leonard, for the 5.
Alexis Pollux was his name.
It could be argued that there are...
bollocks?
Yeah.
What did you do to your...
Alexis Pollux, my favourite Imperial Fist character.
It could be argued that there are no good guys, and every faction is some strand of a deadly sin or one of the 8 dusts.
What's dust?
It's the stuff you get on like the sides and stuff.
Do you
don't wipe it down
know
from
dust? Anybody know dust?
I mean, it definitely could be argued that there are no good guys.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think there's no entirely good factions, but I think there are good people within most of the factions.
There was a comment or a phrase that someone said ages ago. I don't know who it was. It's someone in chat. I'm sure it was on one of my streams. Who said the only good guys is the faction you play, and I quite like that.
I would like to hear the Drukhari players, argue that point.
They're having a good time.
They're just living their own. They're like
doing their own thing.
They've just gone off. They're just sat in the web doing their own thing. Right? Their nature is they just see every human as just cattle because we're just stupid beasts that just kind of plod around.
Yeah, true.
And the only good use for us is cutting us up and having sex with us. That's it.
I think I see why you play Drukhari.
Sai SJ, thank you for the $10. Do you want to read this one, Jay? From Sai?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Bing bong ding ding bong bing dong ding dang dang ding dong ding 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 dong ding 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 dang dong. Happy Thursday. Here's a tenner.
He actually got every single one of them right.
I love it.
He nailed it.
Yeah. That's one of the best super chats I've ever seen you read.
It's one of the only times he's read a super chat, got every word right. Thank you so much, Simon. Hope you're doing well, mate. Stick Monkey, thank you for the 2. The ultimate bad guy is the release schedule.
Oh yeah.
I'm very excited.
Other fun story about Sotha.
I'm very excited about World Eater's release schedule.
I am so psyched for the next 3 releases because it's just chaos.
The firstborn Emperor Scythes all got killed by Tyranids.
Well, that was silly of them.
They all got eaten. And the Belisarius Call book is all about him going there to the Pharos because you get to pet Catan then. He learns how to control scarabs.
Bear wants more dongs. Kazari, thank you for the 5. Q Liam Iroll, but the AOS community is genuinely less salty about the state of their armies than the 40k community. I don't know why.
Fact. But
You'd struggle to find someone who plays it though.
You can't be salty about the state of your army when there's nothing fucking coming out for it.
I find that people that play Age of Sigmar...
Actually, I thought people were really salty that the new Ironjawz Codex was like basically nothing changed and nothing interesting happened.
Well, because nothing broken, don't fix it kind of situation, I think.
It's kind of boring though, isn't it?
Yeah,
because you're buying a Codex and nothing changes.
Your options are have a game that's an emotional roller coaster all over the place, and you have incredible highs and incredible lows. And as someone who has the lower half of the good scale in their army choices,
I mean that's bollocks, but carry on.
It's a bit annoying. Like when you're right. Would you prefer it if your index was really really good, right? Games Workshop gave you a codex. Here you go. It's god awful, right? Or would you prefer to have your good index back, but with a few extra detachments?
But you don't get extra detachments.
Well, or you're fine. You get armies of renown.
If I got 3 rules and they went, here's the same rules and now you pay for it, I'd say, fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if they get, you pay for this book, you're an AdMech player, right? Right, you had an index which was meh.
It was bad.
It was bad, but it wasn't worse than their codex.
I'd say it was about the same.
I think they went, here's a new one. It's much worse.
Yeah, but that's them doing a bad job. I would rather. So
the first year of temp, 100% agree with you. It was all shit mostly, and then in the last majority of codexes we've had have just made the game better.
The issue is you're giving me option 1, which is shit, and option 2, which is shit, and you're not giving option 3, which is you have an index, which is decent and it's fine, and then they bring out a codex. Okay, Eldar, right? Let's forget original 10th edition Eldar. Let's imagine nerfed Eldar. Here's your index. It's fine. You can play with it. It's got some cool rules. Here's your codex. We've done a fucking great job. The book's better. That's the option you're just not giving me.
I think Orcs is actually the best option they've had. Is literally great index. You can do whatever you want with it. It's good. It's fun. It's quite good to play. It wins games. Then the codex comes out. Here are 6 great detachments. Some of them more competitive, some more narrative. That's the best of all of it.
What about the Custodes Codex release?
Well, that sucked. That was awful. And that's why I said the first year of temp was mostly shit.
You take those same AOS players, right, and you say, here's your Ironjawz index and it's fine, it's decent.
Pretty good, as far as I know.
And they say, here's your battle tome, nothing's terrible in it, we've kept the balance of the game, but you get loads of options to play loads of different styles. Every fucking AOS player in the world is going to go, I want that one.
Thing is though, right,
without doubt.
The problem is this is a problem that only exists in 40k.
What do you mean?
I'd say 90% of other game systems that kind of existed on the planet, right, are more like Age of Sigmar than they are 40k, right? Like, take Bolt Action for existence. They've had a new edition, but their army book, so armies of USA, right, or armies of Great Britain or armies of Germany, you have that book, which comes out at the start of the edition, and for the 6 years of the edition, you get no other new books or anything. It exists the same. So they might go, you play Great Britain, which is also part of the Commonwealth, so here's some New Zealand rules.
The biggest issue with 40k is the fact that they monetize rules releases.
Yeah.
That's what the problem is, really.
So like Age of Sigmar is actually more in keeping with every other game system that exists. 40k is like the exception, that it's just here's more. But
the difference, I think the biggest difference for AOS is on the whole, not entirely, because I know you get extra armies of renown, etc. But on the whole, it is, here's your free index, and then a number of months later, and it might be lots, here's the same rules, but you now have to pay for it. That's the problem with it.
That's my problem with it.
That's the big issue. Yeah, okay, you get a couple of extra bits in the codex. You might get some new data sheets. You may get some slight changes to the data sheets, and you may end up getting some extra armies of renown. But for your main rules, it is, here's the same shit you had before for free, but now you've got to pay for it. And that's my big problem with the not the indexes, the battle tomes in AOS. And actually, if you compare them to previous edition battle tomes, I think they've flat got worse. You get less content in terms of rules. You get less content in terms of painting and hobbying. They've stripped all that stuff out. It's worse value for money. I'm not criticising the game. Like I've said already, I say this so many times. People keep to get on at me about, you fucking hate AOS. I think AOS is a fucking great game. But then when you go, there's your game, and we're now monetizing the thing we've already given you for free, that's a cunt's trick.
Well, that's just Games Workshop, though.
And the argument with AdMech, I get it, I understand, but that's them continuing to be arseholes. Like, that just should never be acceptable.
Yeah.
To drop an AdMech codex, which is worse than their index, and actually probably one of the worst codexes they've ever dropped in existence, is just flat unacceptable. So for me, that isn't an argument, because they just shouldn't be doing that in the first instance.
Yeah, like most of the first year of 10th edition was just fucking horrendous for releases and rules changing and everything like that.
Yeah.
But like, I'd say the last year, I'm struggling to think of a bad codex they've released.
I don't know what's come out in the last year, but I'm
That's
inclined
what
to
I'm
agree
struggling
with
to
you.
think. Because it's what, Eldar, God, Blood Angels.
Orcs?
Yeah, I'd say
maybe.
since Orcs.
Orcs were great, CSM were great, Custodians were really bad, Adamek was the worst. Necrons was good.
Grotmus was
But
great.
Grotmus was awesome.
I think it's also Grotmus is the best thing Games Workshop's done for the last few editions.
I'm still convinced they're testing the water for free rules.
But I think
they
a
could be
good
doing that with
codex is
demons,
also
actually.
personal preference,
Yeah.
right?
Of
Because
course.
I really like the Guard Codex. I really like the Tyranids Codex. Spaceman Codex is meh.
I think it's good.
Didn't like the Blood Angels one. The rules are good, but they got rid of the sole reason why I played like Flesh Terrors. So I'm like meh.
Yeah, I think that is a very specific thing.
And I think the Chaos Space Marine Codex is ultimately a good codex because it does well at events,
I think it's really well made.
but it doesn't allow me to play the army the way I want to play it. So in my opinion, it's a bad
but
codex.
you've nailed it, mate. The difference is subjective, objective, right?
Yeah.
Objectively, the Blood Angels and Chaos Codex is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Subjectively, do you like them? No.
No.
Right? So,
Yeah, but I think the same is for like Age of Sigmar. I haven't had an issue with any of the books released so far because like I didn't redo the older editions of Age of Sigmar, so everything that I'm getting is new and exciting. Like everything I look at is new
I remember
and exciting.
the battle times they sent through to us so far. I remember getting,
Yeah.
I can't remember which was the first one that came through from one of my factions. I remember getting so excited, opening it up and being like, "There's nothing that I haven't already played with," and that I was like, "Oh." I think that was probably for me. That was probably the first nail in the coffin for me. And it doesn't help that we put AOS content on the channel. It murders the channel's numbers, murders the numbers. It's taken me months to claw them all back into the green. Like a long time, and it's been fucking graft as well. But and that's because I think, like Wee Man said, and I agree with Wee Man 100%. I think it's a bad stream game. I don't think it's a bad game. I think it's a bad stream game. And I think actually, if you go out there, I don't know if you've done this, but if you go out there, I never have been, I think, more grateful for the people on this channel, like you and Paddy and Brom and etc., than if you go and try and watch some other creators doing like AOS battle reports, or, for example, other creators doing fucking bolt action battle reports. Fucking yawn fest. Jesus Christ. They turned their camera on and left their fucking charisma at home. Awful Gamer, thank you for the 5. How do you feel about John Grammaticus?
Don't like him.
Who's John Grammaticus?
I love John Grammaticus.
He's part of the Illuminati people.
Well, he was, and he got kicked out.
I did.
Basically, he was an American GI who got shot and injured on the beaches of Iwo Jima, and then he was collected by the Eldar / other races of the Space Illuminati and turned into a Perpetual. So he couldn't die. But he also gained the ability to talk any language and read anyone's physical, like, tells, essentially. And he was basically used to manipulate the outcome of, like, Horus and the Imperium, because the idea of the Space Illuminati were like, the Emperor has to lose, Horus has to win. Chaos has to win, because if Chaos wins, they destroy the universe, and then it just burns itself. If there's no humanity, there's no chaos. So they're like top pogging.
Top pogging.
Right? But then John Grammaticus had a bit of a change of heart, because he was like, Eldar are douches.
That's fair. I respect him for that.
Yeah. So he changed sides.
I don't like the Illuminati Perpetual storyline just because I think Perpetual is a dumb concept.
I really like it. But they took it away from him, so you can only die once. So
yeah, but like there's so many times in Horus Heresy books where like they just pop up and like, I just can't die.
Yeah. They're basically the Horus Heresy version of Cypher.
Yeah.
Like, why did this happen? You know, the Perpetuals.
It's the get out of jail free card. Just like, why did this random thing happen? Perpetuals did something, probably, maybe. Yeah, we'll go with that. Cool.
Yeah. I'm going for a wee.
You are allowed.
An hour and a half.
Long old time there.
I will allow it. I will allow it.
Not my wee.
Is there a puddle?
Thank you anyway, Awful Gamer. Thank you, Farmer George, for the 5. Came across a couple of reels the other day with a bloke explaining the 40k rules, abilities, etc. for free! The coaching channels must hate him. Depends if he's getting it right, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Explaining the rules in reels is interesting, since they're 60 to... I don't know what there's a new upper limit on YouTube reels now. They've increased how long they can be.
Yeah, I don't know how much rules you could get through in, I guess, 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Sure.
The thing is, the game is, unfortunately, quite complicated.
It always has
just
been.
by its nature.
Yeah.
And I think that...
I think it's less complicated now than it was.
Yeah, I think it is. I do, however, think it is hard to try and teach the rules. Like Lucy's, she goes through this, she's quite cyclical. She's into this cycle of, I might learn the rules again now and come and hang out on stream. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
I can try and teach you again. But she's like, you need to break it down more than last time. I was like, I can't break it down more than M is your movement in inches.
Yeah.
You can move that far in inches.
Yeah.
I don't know how I break it down more than that.
I feel like you have to play it really to like properly learn the rules.
Yeah, well, we did it. We put her on stream a long time ago. We were back in the garage.
Yeah.
We did like 2 or 3 shows where she was going to learn the rules. And I was quite happy to teach her. And she gets overwhelmed by them very, very quickly. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't, to be able to teach you a game of 40k, we can't just do the movement phase and just do movement. We can, but then the second you then layer in the shooting phase, she's like, it's too much. I'm like, I mean, you kind of need the shooting phase.
Yeah, you do usually need that.
Yeah,
as a World Eaters player, I'd be fine
just do the movement phase, otherwise it's just checkers.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a tough one. Look, it's really easy to overwhelm someone trying to teach them 40k because you could just be like, here is everyone's rules. Everyone's got individual rules: moving, shooting, charging.
Yeah. She's not. Don't get me wrong.
Everything.
She's not dumb. It's just I think
I think it's difficult for anyone.
I think if you've been playing a number of editions and a new rule set comes up, because I actually think the 10th edition is quite complex.
You.
I think 10th edition is quite complex, but if you've played 8th edition or 9th edition, 10th edition becomes easier to understand.
Yeah, for sure.
And arguably then you're like, well, no, it's simple. You're like, yeah, because you've got a core understanding that already exists.
I think also the biggest problem about getting into 40k is because there have been like, you can't just read the rule book or the rule pamphlet or whatever. You have to read the rule book in conjunction to a 48-page rules compendium that goes with it. This is the thing. So plus the balanced data slate at the same time.
What we're talking about is Luce has gone around on this cyclical thing again where she's back in the, I think I want to learn some 40k. And I'm like, the thing is, I know what Luce is like, and I love her dearly. She's not dumb, but she also gets annoyed by things being overly complicated. So when if I taught something in a rule book, and I let's say she had a vehicle or something on an oval base, and she goes, well, so I can move 40. I'm like, actually, you can move 12 because you've got 2-inch pivot. And she'll go through that rule book and she'll be like, where does it say that? But it actually says it in this rules commentary. She's going to go, I'm not fucking interested. Yeah. I'm not interested now.
I get that to a point. I do.
Like, 100%.
Genuinely annoying.
I do.
Obviously, we're all really enjoying 40k. The whole team is really enjoying 40k. But I think the only people at the moment that are really enjoying 4K and getting the most out of it are the people that have played it since the start of 10th edition and kept on top of it.
Yeah.
Because I've got a mate Tom who's going to the golden ticket event, and he went out of 40k, went to Age of Sigmar, went to Horus Heresy, and he was like, I'm gonna try and get back in. And he's messaging me, he's messaging so many people all the time, asking all these questions that to me are like, that's just a really obvious question. But then I'm like, he's asking me a question based on the fact that to find the answer to that question, it's like, if it's like a movement one, it's not in the movement rules, it's not in the transport rules, it's not in the disembarking rules, it's like, it's not in the 48-page complimentary sheets, it's in, I don't know, like a leadership section or a shooting section. It's not in the section you think it's in, and the section you find it in, it's been FAQ'd as well.
When you and Paddy were playing on Tuesday, someone came in chat and said that you roll the damage before you decide if you re-roll the saving throw. Yeah. And I was like, no, you don't. So I shoot you with a fire dragon, and you roll your saving throw and fail, right? this person was suggesting that I roll my damage before you go CP reroll my saving throw after you've seen the damage, which is definitely not how it works. But these rules are so complicated. I was like, because he said something like page 36 of the such and such document. So I was like, I'm going to go and look. Because I was like so certain that isn't the rules. You definitely don't. You CP reroll the save before I roll the damage because that's the damage allocation step. That's the order it goes in. And I was like, but there is a chance. Because there's so many fucking rules.
It's also like heroically intervening a rhino, we all do it sometimes.
But also we live in a situation where not everything has a keyword or a universal rule. So there's multiple versions of, because the example was that because it was the zeroing damage. But it's not when the damage is allocated; it's when the attacks are allocated. But
the thing
but it's not. But is it before you roll the save or after you roll the save?
The thing that adds complication to that is it is not the same everywhere. Some rules are like you see what the damage is and then you block it. Some of them are like you see how many attacks there are and then you just blank 2 of them.
I'm going to be controversial slightly and suggest that I'm actually quite a fan of the complexity of the game.
I am generally a fan of it. Yeah.
Although I do wish there was a better route into 40k for new people.
They need a consolidation of the actual rules.
I would have personally. I'd go back to Kill Team being a small version of 40k, so that when you come into main 40k, you've already got some core mechanics down.
And
I don't think it is.
Well, Combat Patrol, I guess, is kind of.
I think we should go Kill Team, Combat Patrol, 40k. Right. And I think that GW could do a better job. I don't think Kill Team needs to be its own game.
No.
I think that makes it less profitable. Actually, I would suggest that if you made it a Kill Team sized version of 40k, when it used to be that, the amount of people in the old deployment zone Discord, the amount of people that were like, I'm just going to get a Kill Team of Sisters, I'm just going to get a Kill Team of Necrons, and you used to be able to mix and match different kits. You'd be selling 2 or 3 boxes to make your Kill Team, and then it'd be like, I've got 3 units now.
I could play a Combat Patrol.
If I buy a character, I've already got a combined arms attachment. And that used to be a fucking fantastic route into playing.
I think that's way better.
That in big version. And I think if I knew that I could play, because what I don't want to do, for example, is teach Kill Team or teach Combat Patrol. I'm like, cool, now you've learned that, forget that part, because that's no longer true, and now use this part.
I think that having Combat Patrols giving units completely different rules and data sheets to actual 40k was a bad idea. It's just like you learn one thing and then you're like, forget everything. Like you now have to do this different rules, different abilities, different stuff. Like,
well, that's why I think Spearhead is like one of the best version of the
Spearhead took Combat Patrol and went, good idea, we're going to do it right.
Is that what they do? Literally just same thing.
The data sheets are the same, but they take some abilities off.
That's the good way to do it.
Yes.
That is it. Because adding layers onto it is fine. Just don't change stuff you already know.
So the step up from Spearhead to the main game is a lot easier because they go, here's a version that's basic, and then you go, we're going to play the mini version. We're going to play the normal game now, but we're not going to have magic, and then we're not good, and then we're going to include magic, but we won't have manifestations. And
I know.
That's the best way.
I know a significantly higher number of people that have managed to convert friends, girlfriends, wives, whatever, from Spearhead into main AOS than I do that have ever done Combat Patrol. And I'm not saying people haven't done it with Combat Patrol; they have, and I know people that have done it. But the route from Spearhead into big AOS has definitely been more successful than Combat Patrol.
I quite like boarding actions when that was going around.
Bob Page said boarding actions are good. So boarding actions is what Combat Patrol should be.
I thought that was really. I played it a couple of times with mates. I thought that was quite cool.
It was really good, and we loved boarding actions. It was great
to start with.
It was to start with, and then we realised shooting armies are terrible. So you only
you just play Worldiers.
All right, and if you play a combat army, if you go second, you win every time.
The Worldiers rules for that was so fun. Because you have to like open a door before you can do everything. With the Worldier, it was like, no, you go through the door and then carry on going. It's like, this is great.
It was. I think if they used the boarding actions rules, but on not the boarding actions terrain, it would have been perfectly fine.
I like the idea of the terrain, but it does limit you because then people have to spend loads of money on the terrain, and then you have to learn rules about the terrain and add more rules on. But if you were literally just like, have a couple of buildings, have this size or whatever, and then just play boarding actions.
Well, this is what I mean. Like, this is what I'm saying. Spearhead is GOAT tier compared to
that's
Combat
the
Patrol.
best version I've heard of.
Combat Patrol and Combat Patrol. See, for me at the moment, Combat Patrol for the majority of people is a cheaper way of building a 40k army.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what it is.
A lot of them are just bad as well.
But I do think if you look at a lot of combat patrols, some of them are going fully out of stock online, not temporarily out of stock, but like gone. I think they're going to be slowly but surely over the course of probably this edition and maybe even the next edition, changing all the combat patrols, because I think they've seen the success of Spearhead. I think if you're a Games Workshop, if you're the 40k team, I don't think you can't look at some of what AOS has done and been like, fuck, they did a better job
I
than
think
us.
we'll get combat patrol, but in the style of Spearhead with the random cards and stuff
and the little board, and I think it was a great version.
The World Eaters one sold out online now, which is kind of sad because that was great.
That's interesting because I thought that was always going to be working as a good box, unless they're bringing out a new one because they've got new kits coming.
I think they will do a new one just because every single army's got a new one.
Yeah. That fucking World Eaters Combat Patrol box, I might see if they've still got it on
it's
just
great. Good.
I think the problem that World Eaters going to have now is that Combat Patrol was so good, anything that comes after is potentially going to be worse.
Yeah. Although, if it's like some 8-bound, maybe some new stuff, maybe like a different character or something, that could also be good. Because if everyone's bought the Combat Patrol, you've probably got enough Berserkers and Jackals now.
So the ideal position for you, really, is they bring out a second one full of stuff that you want that you don't have already.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Banging.
The opposite, though, Death Guard,
Death Guard's so bad.
Death Guard and Thousand Sons can only get better.
I don't hate
You
the Death
say
Guard
that.
one.
You say
the Death Guard one you buy once.
I don't hate it, though.
It's okay, but it's kind of depressing.
It's sad.
What is it? It's Typhus, 20 Poxwalkers.
That's it. That's basically it.
There's something else in there, isn't there?
And the unit of Plague Marines, I think.
brilliant.
I don't know.
But
I don't know if Plague Marines are.
I think you get the play. But the thing is, though, when you think about all the units that Death Guard had access to go into that box,
they have
duplicate
the biggest
Poxwalkers that came
they
in.
could have done a combat. You're saying they could have done a combat patrol, Joe, of nothing but characters.
Well, they could have had the floaty drone in there. They could have had the little Romba. They could have had.
They got Typhus, Biologist Guy, Plague Marines, 30 Poxwalkers. That's so many Poxwalkers.
I mean, you only buy it once. You never.
I do think that one's better than the Thousand Suns one.
Right, Colton, we have 30 Poxwalkers. Fuck, I think that's actually good value.
The Thousand Suns one is also you only buy once, I think.
Colton, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. The 7 Plague Marine squad is an issue because
It's dumb,
you
innit?
take them in 5 or 10s now.
You can take 7s.
Thank you, Colton, for 5 gifted memberships, Jay.
Thank you, Colin. I hope that tomorrow you all get a Subway for lunch at work for free on the boss, and when you get there, all of the food in the little things has all been freshly replaced.
When you get free stuff from the boss, I often think it's a hint.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, I get to live a life where my boss gives me things to do. I'm trying to share the love.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah.
Trying to spread the joy.
That puts us, we are on 38 of the finest, chat. 12 more. There's 280 people watching. 12 more and we get to 50, which would be incredible. Craig, thank you for the 5,000 Japanese yen, which makes it a pink one, Joe. Wonder if the lack of deep strike reserves in AOS makes it more boring to watch. Once you see deployment in AOS, you have an idea of where they are going. 40k L ruins bore me to tears, so at least in AOS I get to see amazing tables. Cheers from Tokyo. Well, with the exception of Tournament Tuesday, where we're actually running Tournament Terrain, I like to think one of the things we do well is we make sure that all of our tables are interesting. They have different shapes and sizes and bits of terrain that you wouldn't normally see. Tournament Tuesdays will be slightly different, but we're not doing Tournament Tuesdays every single Tuesday, so don't panic. It's not like every Tuesday is L-shaped ruins. And even then, I felt like our board looked a lot more interesting on Tuesday than a lot of people that run Tournament Terrain.
I thought it looked really good.
Yeah, I do. But I get what you're saying.
Still on the table, yeah.
I think there's a couple. For me, there's a couple of things that makes AOS a bit boring to watch or engage with. I think the lack of up-down, deep strike type stuff is probably part of it, if I'm honest. I think the lack of randomness for the missions, great for competitive play, perhaps less interesting for excitement purposes, is possibly part of it. I think the fact that the missions do, to some extent, still encourage big punch-up in the middle. And I'd like to see mission rules that go, let's engage across the whole of the table.
I actually think the lack of terrain, for me at least, makes it less interesting on AOS, because there's like...
You
less stuff.
You can have more terrain.
Yeah.
But I think the problem with Age of Sigmar is that since its kind of inception, it's always had fixed terrain layouts.
Right.
And I've said this before, right? I don't want to tie these people with the same brush, is a lot of war gamers are woefully unimaginative when it comes to setting up tables of terrain, right? When you go to the club or you got a mate coming over, everyone's go-to is we will play the same game that everyone else is playing because we're going to an event or whatever. So everyone just defaults to tournament practice, or like we've got a set terrain layout, we've got set missions, we've got a set scoring on an app, we'll just do that. So like, and Age of Sigmar has kind of had that since the beginning. Whereas I find like there's loads of terrain out there that you can buy where you can have a castle on the table because the game still functions with a castle on the table.
That'd be really cool. I'd actually want to watch that.
Like a giant cathedral in the middle of the table. Or, there's so much you can do with Age of Sigmar that people just aren't really ready to deal with or willing to deal with.
I think you're right.
Yeah, because like terrain is so impactful in 40k because of like obscuring and movement blocking and stuff going through it or not going through it. And like then in Sigmar, a lot of times I see people playing and there's like 2 rocks on the table.
Terrain in Sigmar's weird because it's interactive in the sense that you can never go through it. You always have to go around it, and that's good. And then I find that people then go, I'll just put less on then.
Yeah, like most, I swear, like obviously not you guys, but like when I've seen other people streaming it, there's been like 2 large rocks on the table and maybe a dead bridge or
there are, so like we've got like we haven't got all the Games Workshop tournaments, right? So some of them, so you have like magical pieces of terrain which benefit you, and they do actually have ruins that you can go through, but like Games Workshop doesn't really sell them or provide them.
I was about to say that myself. I think that GW could also do I think this is 40k too though as well. I'll be honest. I think GW could do a better job of servicing their game systems with terrain.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
personally believe that Games Workshop's own terrain lines are almost always the prettiest looking terrain sets once they're painted properly on the table. And yet, like that, you asked me the day if I'd order that made to order stuff they put up ages ago, and I'd forgotten to do it. And I went back on the website, and there's no way of getting hold of that stuff now, obviously because it's made to order. I was a little bit sad because they just did. Why is it just not for sale all the time? Why is it just permanently on made to order?
Yeah,
I don't understand it.
Because it sells out.
Exactly.
Because they have to make it specifically to be, and it's like, I think the problem is they always make it. They don't make enough, so they have to make it really expensive, right? And because all terrain kits they release are a new kit, they never re-release old stuff. So every time that they have to retool it, someone has to design it. They'd be so much better if they just had one line of terrain. They kept saying one of the best kits they ever did was the Orc terrain for. It was originally in Kill Team, and then they put it out in the world, and it was L-shaped ruins. There was 4 of them, and a few little side bits and a roof bit that you could use as little corners, but they all slot together to make one giant building.
Oh, really? Is that what Tabletop Titans have?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think
I've
so.
seen them use Orc terrain. I don't know if it is
I think they also have like a version of it which is also 3D printed.
Could be that.
But Games Workshop at Warhammer World, there's an entire Orc city that you can play on, which is just that kit multiplied with really a few other Orc bits involved.
If any of you jumped all over that made to order and regret it, please let me know, and we'll talk about having it off you. 95 Ginger Age, thank you for the 10 Canadian. Joe, if I gift another 5, can you amend your wish to cover pet hair as well as dust? I have 3 cats and 2 Rottweilers. There is more hair than dust on my models. Thanks. And then thank you, 95 Ginger Age, for the 5 gifted memberships.
Well, the joy is that most dust is also made out of dead skin particles and
lovely
dead animal particles.
But he did also gift 5 so that his models could no longer have hair on.
Yeah, I hope you don't have that too. I hope like the place where you keep it all is like it's a perfectly sealed room, you know,
beautiful.
Nothing goes in and out apart from you. You have to go in naked.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm here for that.
And clean.
Nix MK, thank you for becoming a Hasidim member all by yourself. With the last few that have come through as well, we're on 46 now. Chat with 4 away. Mandy, thank you for the $10. Zandrak taking out 3 Imperial Fist companies is definitely a highlight for that old guy.
Yeah,
I don't know
cool.
that narrative.
The only thing I know about him is he's a Necron overlord who essentially has Necron dementia and basically still thinks they're fighting the war in heaven and they're still not robots. So he keeps trying to like eat food and do normal things and like basically live his life as like an actual humanoid being, but obviously he's actually a robot. And then he's got this huge Necron warrior bodyguard called Oberon or something.
Yeah.
And he basically just follows him around, making sure he doesn't randomly die because he does dumb shit all the time.
It's a weird thing that they've done this like narrative curve on Necrons to give them personalities.
Yeah, because they could just be really boring because most of them are like basically zombie robot people.
Yeah, because like back in T'au, right? Back in your 5th edition, back in your 6th edition, like Necrons were just like everything other than a Necron Lord was just useless. They were just like
my lord.
The Lords did all the thinking, and then you had Priors, which are basically humans adopted to become Necrons. And but like the premise at the time is that they were just terrifying death machines.
You basically Terminator, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just Terminator that just shoots you and you disintegrate, and they just they were much more imposing. Whereas now they've kind of got a character. I feel like they've lost a bit of that scariness about them.
I disagree with that. I think that the base of them is still fucking terrifying, especially when they make like the videos on Warhammer Plus and they just eviscerate everyone. But I think it's cool that they have a couple of more interesting characters like Trazyn and Orican and Oberon and the guy that I've already forgotten the name of that I was just talking about.
Dave.
Yeah, Dave. He's great. I think it just adds a bit more personality to them.
Yeah.
That rather than them just being like, we're going to kill everyone because we're evil.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for the $10, man. You're a legend. Stan, thank you for 5 more. If your empire murder fucks a literal god of murder fucking into existence, your empire was probably not benevolent.
Yeah.
Nope, they're benevolent. Dan Sharp.
Yeah, you're choosing to ignore the bad part of your society and only look at the good part.
Yeah, like
with
Bron.
your Eldar example. You know, like I'm saying.
Excuse me, Tom, who said he hates Eldar, has said they're probably the closest thing to good guys in the galaxy.
The ones,
not even
the
me.
ones now,
Yeah, the ones that like if you ignore 50% of them.
I mean,
great.
more like 99.9 recurring percent.
Yeah.
Because the ones that are still alive are like the tiniest fraction of the old society.
I didn't say it. Tom said it. Tom's right. Tom, you're right.
Okay.
Yep, you're right.
That's a first.
Yep. Mr. Senholier, you'll often find that if you do agree with me, you are in fact labelled as right.
Interesting.
Yeah. Mr. Svenholier, if you agree with Brom, you're labelled as far. Mrs. Svenholier, thank you for the 5. AOS needs objectives that forces the armies away from the big punch up in the middle. Yeah, I just sort of touched on that, right? I fucking flat agree. I think AOS I think needs and before you, because I know where you're going to go on this one as well. I think AOS and 40k you could both do with a competitive way of playing and then a kind of toned down, more random, more fun way of playing.
Yeah, they do.
Sometimes the 40k random missions are too random and they fuck people.
Yeah.
And sometimes AOS is just too predictable. So 40k could do with like perhaps fixed missions for secondaries like before and then a Maelstrom of War mission deck. AOS could kind of do with the same. I don't necessarily hate the centre punch up when you're talking competitively and you're planning out your battle tactics. I don't hate it actually. Again, for content it could be a bit more boring. 40k... A Maelstrom of War was one of the greatest things they ever made, and I'm sad we don't have that. We could do with Maelstrom of War for AOS. And the thing is, looking at Dan's comment just there as well, Maelstrom of War didn't have any actions. You didn't need any actions. Go and get Objective 3.
Just do stuff.
Yeah, it was a deck of cards, and you'd pull 2 or 3 a turn. It would tell you things that you needed to do. Kill a Psyker, kill an aeroplane. If you can't do it, you trade it in for something else. Go to this part of the table. You don't do an action. You can still operate normally.
I think the issue is that it's not really an issue. I don't think it is a problem, but I think to mitigate the punch up in the middle is that all the objectives in Age of Sigmar are sticky. Right?
Okay.
I think there's too much.
Which means you can move off of it with impunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's too much sticky in. I don't think there should be any sticky in either game. Right? Right? You're either on the objective or you're off it.
Oh yeah, maybe. I don't mind like some units having it in 40k. I think in 40k it's mitigated by the fact that Deep Strike exists, and the fact that you can just be like.
But there is also Deep Strike in Age of Sigmar. So but like a lot of the armies I play, where you do have the option to put stuff in reserve and then bring it on, or like. If a unit dies, I can bring half the unit back on.
Is it like full on Deep Strike because it reserves?
It's a proper predictor, but normally there are restrictions in the sense of you have to come in within 12 of a character or within range of a terrain piece.
I think one of the problems with things like sticky objectives in 40k specifically, for example, is the fact that every faction has access to it, so it no longer becomes special for one faction. People have talked about this for ages. Grey Knights, right? Grey Knights, when 10th edition launched, were the uppy-downy army. That was their trick, and that was their army trick. And now everyone's kind of got it. Their army trick feels like it's not special anymore because everyone's got it anyway. So I don't know. I don't entirely disagree with that. I think sticky objectives.
I think every single unit having sticky is mental. That's weird. But I think you can have some. I think you just make some battle line units better to use essentially. And I think it's nice having battle line units going around.
Yeah, or I just think you need to have a variation in mission packs where some missions are shooting, some missions are holding, right? So some things about the most important thing about the mission is holding objectives. If it's a kill mission, you don't care about holding objectives. You're just in some ruins fighting. I'm
going to go as far as say with AOS. Even if you look at the battle tactics, the biggest problem is the fact that you pick them. Because you can go, well, if I just move all my stuff in the middle, then I won't go seize the flanks. I won't do it, take the flanks.
But then that comes down to being able to pick them also becomes a higher skill level, right? Because you plan in advance what you're doing.
I think that not being able to pick them, having random in 40k encourages more varied lists. And I would argue that if you're a player who's taking random secondaries and scoring 100 points a game, that's a higher skill level.
Yeah, I reckon so.
Is it though? Or
you take random secondaries and scoring 100 every game.
I think some armies are better at it than others, though.
Yeah,
that's
I
probably
agree.
the same in AOS.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I think maybe in AOS, because some stuff in AOS is just so like most armies have access to like cavalry units that can go and do it, and like you can like because like I'd be in my opponent's deployment zone, so I'm going to pick that. So I'm probably going to aim to pick that secondary later in the game, but I'm going to start working my way around there to deal with that thing.
Yeah.
So you like much like a ye olde times general, right? You have to have a battle plan before you get to it because you can't really communicate with people kind of at the time. So and that's the kind of the game that AOS kind of matches. You know, you arrive, you have a game plan, and you kind of do it, and you adjust. Whereas like 40k is more like everyone can always communicate with everyone. So
I'd love to do random actions on AOS once, random secondaries on AOS once to see how that works. Also, Mr. Weeman says, speaking of Grey Knights, when are you whipping them out? The box is in the studio now, sealed. I need to get it out, check it all. There will inevitably be some breakages because it's come over from Canada. I reckon we'll put them on the channel for the first time next week once Joe's gone through them all. Grim Witchbot, thank you for the 2. Custodians are good guys because they are made to be.
They kind of are.
It's still perspective, though, isn't it? They're still enforcing the rule and law of the Emperor, who isn't necessarily good.
They would happily murder anyone to achieve their goal.
Exactly.
Is the only thing there.
Ben, thank you for the 350 again. Killing the Emperor ends the Imperium. So factions.
Surely killing the Emperor just means he pops back up.
Well,
if that's true.
It turns off the light, doesn't it? So it turns off the astronomical.
Got to change the batteries.
Which means that the entire of the warp kind of just
goes out.
And all the Imperium
people get lost.
Collapses. Well, it basically means it all collapses into itself, and no one will be able to travel in the warp.
Good. Yeah, true.
Meat Squadron, thank you for the $2. Dracarys are probably into pegging, which is cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
probably. I guess.
Yeah, pegging's cool.
Yeah?
Yeah, good. Tom agrees.
Sure. Joe's very silent.
It's a memory.
He looks like he's had experience.
I haven't.
Well, Wee Man, thank you for 10 gifted memberships.
Thank you, Wee Man.
He's already gifted 5. He's vegetarian, by the way.
Oh,
I love you, Joe.
I hope that if you're ever wearing white trousers and you're going for a wee, you don't shake too vigorously.
Fair.
nice.
And hit yourself in the knee.
Yeah.
We are currently on 46 team. There's 4 to go. Mandy, thank you for $10. Kill Team 1.0 was how I got into 40k. Had 18 kill teams, which was enough models to decide. Might as well move up to 500-point games. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think Kill Team
When
1
it came out, was it literally just like, take this 40k unit, fight this other 40k unit?
When it came out, you couldn't buy kill teams at all. They didn't exist as a separate box. You had a rule book that said, you could take these models in your kill team and you can give out these specialists.
And you had like 150, 200 points, and you go, I could take one intercessor, I could take one scout with a sniper rifle, I could take one devastating marine with
cool.
So instead of going, I could take 3 intercessors and 3 of this, or just one box of stuff.
It's just one squad.
You could literally just go, I like Space Marines. I have a pool of Space Marines I could buy one model from, and it was so much more narrative and exciting. And then they expanded it out, so there was like an elites version, so you could start taking things like Terminators and Custodes, and then there's a character one, so you could take like chaplains and like the occasional chapter master and stuff if you had the points to do it. And it kind of just rolled. They created this incredible system that became more and more narrative that you got excited about, and then they kind of just really just bubble wrapped it and damped it down.
Yeah, that does sound better than current kill team, to be honest.
I much prefer. I think it was a much better gateway.
Yeah,
a much better gateway. And that's what Manny's done. That 18 kill teams and then straight up to 500 points. I think it works much better. Kill team 1.0 got me back into the hobby after 5 years, as I'm now saying exactly. Mets88, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships.
I hope that when you go for a poo, it doesn't splash water all over your bum.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, that's why every time I go into the bathroom before I use it, especially if the kids are running around the house, I flush the toilet first. And it's like, why'd you flush it before you go? No one wants to be kissed by yellow water.
Wow.
Iron Razzle, thank you for the one gifted. Limey Panda, thank you for the one gifted. Tank, who is the unknowing, thank you for the one gifted. And then finally, Kazarian, thank you for the 5. To Joe's terrain point, my pride and joy in terrain is the Guardians of Moor set from Fantasy. Love that as a centerpiece. I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is?
Guardians of Moor, that was the graveyard terrain. It's the best terrain that Games Workshop ever did. Because I had like 3 sets of it, and I was going to do. It became the Mausoleum set. I was going to do an entire graveyard board, and then it was taken from me.
Badger says, question to the lads: which Land Raider would you go for, Joe?
I think we know.
Redeemer.
How many do you own?
4.
4 so far.
So far.
And what did you put on that White Scars list?
A Redeemer.
Yeah. I think it's safe to say if you play Space Marines and you like Land Raiders, that Redeemer is the best option.
Redeemer is literally the flat best.
Yeah.
It moves the fastest, and it has the best guns.
And it
has
carries
grenade.
more people.
Yeah. And it has grenade.
It carries more, doesn't it?
The Crusader carries the same, but
it carries more than the normal Land Raider, doesn't it?
It carries more than the normal one, yeah. But it has bolt guns on the side.
No one wants that.
Do you want bolt guns, or do you want to essentially fire 2d6 plus 6?
You mean those tank-mounted Hurricane bolters, which happen to be slightly worse than the Custodian's jetbike-mounted Hurricane bolters?
They're worse than an Intercessor's bolt gun.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
They're just strength 4 AP nothing 1 damage guns.
I guess that's what happens when you just duct tape 6 bolters together.
Yeah. So yeah, it's
not always the best.
I was looking at if I could do a list with 2 Land Raiders, each with 6 Exalted 8 bound in.
I mean, technically, yeah.
You can, but you have to lose too much,
And
I think.
It's a terrible list, but it does exist.
It does make you sad that this bog standard Land Raider is not good.
Oh, I really wish it was.
Right,
the assault ramp is so cool.
All they need to do with this bog standard Land Raider is make it transport capacity 14, like the Redeemer, and make its lance cannons twin linked.
That'd be cool, actually. 2 shots twin linked.
Yeah, 2 shots twin. They're 2 shots twin linked. Because currently they're 2 shots each, so 4 lance cannon shots. But when you miss, you miss, and if you don't wound, you don't wound.
The problem is, like, if they make them twin linked, they'll probably halve the amount of shots.
I don't. I think 2 twin linked is 1 twin linked is awful.
Yeah,
1 twin linked is worse than 2 shots.
Although if you had 1 twin linked and you go against the oath target, you're probably all right.
I was about to say they're all right when they target an oath target now, unless you are Codex specific, like.
If you're. To be fair, I reckon normal Land Raider might be all right against like. If you are actual like normal Space Marines, because if you get the oath target, you reroll hits plus 1 wounds.
Yeah, but do you know what's even better versus the oath target? The Redeemer, because you automatically hit with your minimum 8.
Yeah, but
maximum
we've already established that that's better than the other one,
and it wounds most of the stuff in the game on 3s with the or 2s with the.
Depends on the target.
Probably not 2s.
Depending on the target, but
not many things on 2s.
But I'd much rather have a lot of AP 2 damage 2 instead of 4 AP2, AP3,
I'd say
D6
like
plus 1.
The main thing with Redeemer is that you essentially get 2 shooting phases because Overwatch.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Thank you anyway, you wonderful humans. 95 Ginger Rage, thank you for the 10 Canadian. Sorry, Joe, you have to go through that Grey Knight. I did try to layer it with bubble wrap as best I could. I think it went via cargo ship, so God knows what was on top. If you have any questions, hit me on Discord. 95 Ginger Rage people is the amazing human being who did send us bajillion points worth of Grey Knights.
That's cool. It would be cool to...
He basically said, I've got a painted army, I'm not going to use it. Do you want it? And you could have that until they bring out the Codex on the off chance they refresh the model range.
Yeah.
And you don't have to buy any now. And I was like, that's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
It'd be
What a
cool
legend.
to have some Grey Knights on channel.
Yeah, I'm into playing them actually. I'm interested.
Yeah.
Clive, thank you for the $5. I've just signed up for also, everyone say thank you to Ginger Age for giving us Grey Knights. I've just signed up to a tournament on the 26th, 27th of April. Guess I better finish the Revenant Titan for the Great Hall Shield Wall. Yes.
A Revenant Titan. That's the big Eldar one, right?
Yeah, well now, with the changes to the points for Wraith Knights, you can in fact, I think you still can fit 2 Sword and Shield Knights, 1 character and a Revenant Titan in a list. It's not good,
Oh, no. God, no.
but it's fun.
Cool as shit, though.
Yeah, and now it's even better now that Sword Knights can just walk through walls.
Yeah, just bimble along.
Yeah, because they're like 425 points each. So that's 850.
6, yeah.
And then you've got 1,100 points of Revenant Knight, and so you've got 50 points left. I think, is a Warlock 45 points or 55 points? I think you might just get away with it. I'm not sure, can't remember. Cool as shit, I'm into it.
Yeah.
Joe, we finished on 46 members.
That's good.
It's not.
That we've finished.
Oh. He has also said there are redeemers in the Grey Knight box.
Oh, Joe, you can play him.
I didn't know that the Grey Knights could have a.
I didn't know that either.
No.
I guess they are Space Marines.
All the loyal people get all the cool stuff. It's only us Chaos folks that suffer.
honestly,
It's not like we say kill, maim, burn or anything.
Yeah, I want to petition Games Workshop to allow all the Chaos factions to take Redeemers.
I think we should get all the firstborn stuff and
Yeah.
take it away from Space Marines.
Chaos, just to meme Joe, will give them Crusaders, not Redeemers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be happy with another option, honestly.
Right, you wonderful human beings. That's 2 hours of Liam, Tom, and Joe show. Craig,
Oh my
thank you for 10
God.
gifted memberships.
Thank you, Craig. I hope that next time you go to a country fair, you meet David Attenborough.
Pretty good.
That's interesting, considering he's in Japan. No, Tokyo.
We might be over there filming some exotic lizards.
I think he's in the military.
Well, there's a lot of lizards
Oh.
in the military, isn't there? So.
Bainson, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Lots of blizzards. I just got that one. Yes, you're not wrong. Bainson, thank you for 5 gifted memberships.
Thank
Fucking
you.
hell.
The Grey Knights do have a Land Raider Redeemer.
They do, yeah.
Thank you, Bainson. I hope that you get to go and see the new Jurassic Park on opening night and someone else pays.
Cool. I'm into that. And the Springies, thank you for 5 gifted memberships.
I hope that next time you buy a carry case for your army, it fits the entire army in like a oneer.
Ooh. With no, like, modification required.
Yeah, no, I've got no extra stuff on top. You don't have to carry stuff on top.
I'm into that.
I saw, you know, who does that? Who the people that do the wooden paint holders that we've got on our desks?
Yeah.
They also do like transportable paint stations. But they also do carry cases with like wooden, really sexy wooden ones with like laser etched fronts on them. So I had a really nice Krieg one the other day, and I was like, "Oh, that's nice," but I can't fit an entire army in it.
You people are amazing. Thank you so much. We jumped from like 46 to 66 in no time as well. Amazing human beings. We are back tonight with a live game of 40k. I am going to bring my beloved World Eaters that I haven't touched for ages because I've let Tom be the master of their fate for a while. But I missed them a little bit. So I'm just going to play them once. Just once. For now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've also said to Tom he could just bring his own army in the future as well if he wants to. So.
Yeah. Much more exalted 8 bound.
Much more exalted 8 bound. People will get to see Joe's pain.
Tournament Tuesday will have many exalted 8 bound.
Yeah. Well, I felt like it was really unfair to be like, Tom, do you want to play World Eaters for Tournament Tuesday? Yeah. Okay, you can only use the stuff we've got. Oh. So, you know, hey. We're doing that tonight. We've got a live game of 40k tonight. It's Raven Guard versus World Eaters. It's me and Joe. Tom's on the deck for you. And then tomorrow night, I still don't know whether there is an After Dark show. I'll have to let you know because my friend Lee is coming down to play in the South Coast Super Major. Cool. I think that's everything, isn't it, Mr.
All
DJ?
good.
Yeah. Maybe. Oh no, I'm in Brighton tomorrow, so we can't even vag for a bit.
So I got stuff to build and paint.
I've got to start taking the handover for the Hobby House website sometime soon. So you people are incredible. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on the Liam, Tom and Joe show. Hopefully we'll see you tonight at 7:30. If not, we'll see you in the next one.
Bye, whatever time.
Bye.